everyone, and welcome back to our podcast studio. Guess what? We're back again, powered by coffee and ready to rumble. And as always, beaming directly to you lovely people on YouTube. If you are watching, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, if you like what you see, or even if you just like the chaotic energy we bring, go ahead and hit that like button. It's the digital equivalent of applause. And frankly, we thrive on your digital applause. So, greetings, internet denizens.
You won't believe what happened to me just yesterday. I decided to try one of those trendy online yoga classes, right? Supposed to be relaxing and zen?
Oh, I can already see where this is going. Yoga and Mira. Sounds like a recipe for comedic disaster.
So, there I am, trying to be all graceful in my living room, right? And the instructor is saying things like, find your inner peace and breathe deeply.
And you were probably thinking my inner peace is currently hiding from my outer clumsiness. Am I close?
So, we get to this pose called downward facing dog, and I'm trying my best, but my actual dog, gets confused and starts trying to play with my well. You know, downwards facing face.
Oh, brilliant. Downward facing dog becomes dog facing downward owner's face. I can just picture it. Did you at least manage to find your inner peace amidst the canine chaos?
Inner peace? More like inner panic. Moo. Bah? Aye, at least it was good cardio trying to keep him from licking my nose in that position. How about you, Leo? Anything less dog-related happened to you this week?
Less dog-related, yes. Less chaotic. Debatable. I decided to try and fix my own leaky faucet. Aha! You know, be a handy, self-sufficient kind of guy for once.
The handy Leo. This I got you here. Did you at least manage to avoid flooding the entire apartment building?
Avoid flooding? Mostly? Let's just say my bathroom now resembles a miniature indoor water feature. Oops, turns out, fixing a leaky faucet is slightly more complicated than just tightening a few things. Who knew?
Oh, Leo, you are something else. So, a yoga dog battle and a plumbing gone wrong situation. Sounds like our usual week in the studio, actually.
Precisely. Just another week in the wonderfully absurd lives of your podcast hosts. But enough about our domestic adventures. Let's get down to business, shall we?
Today, we are embarking on another epic country comparison journey. Oh, and this time we are tackling to giants of Asia, to ancient civilizations, to, well, you get the picture.
Giants indeed. We are venturing into the realms of China and India. Two countries that are often mentioned in the same breath, yet are vastly different in so many fascinating ways.
China and India. Just the names conjure up so much history, culture, and, well, a whole lot of people. Well, we are talking about billions, billions.
Billions, yes. Enough people to populate entire continents, probably. And enough cultural nuances to keep us talking for, oh, I know you. But we'll try to condense it into a somewhat digestible podcast episode for your listening pleasure.
We're going to dive into the amazing world of China and India, compass them, maybe even tease them a little bit in our usual friendly way. Are you ready for this, Leo?
Ready as I'll ever be, Mira? Though I suspect friendly teasing might be an understatement considering our track record. But hey, let's see what comedic gold we can mine from these two fascinating nations. Let the comparison games begin.
Diving into the slightly less giggle-inducing but super important topic of general safety and crime rates for China and India. You ready to put on your serious-ish face for a bit?
Serious-ish? Mira, for me, serious-ish. Mira, says like decaf coffee, technically coffee, but where's the point? But, alright, safety and crime in China versus India? It's not exactly a laugh riot, but I'm sure we can find some absurd angles, right? Let's see. Maybe we should start with which country is more likely to steal your heart. Or your wallet.
Whoa, you're incorrigible. But okay, let's try to be a tad informative amidst our usual chaos. When you think of safety in China, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For me, it's like super organized cameras everywhere. Almost like a giant Very efficient ant farm. Wow. Well,
Ant farm, huh? Ant farm, huh? Yeah. China does have that Big Brother is watching, but he's also making sure you cross the street safely vibe. I mean, in major Chinese cities, you can practically eat off the sidewalks. And petty crime is supposedly lower than my chances of ever winning a dance-off. Which is zero, by the way.
Leo. Never say never. I've seen you do the robot. I've seen how that intense surveillance does seem to be a deterrent. Boo. Slide. Try to pickpocket someone, and you'll be on CCTV faster than I can say Kung Pao Chicken. Whoa!
Kung Pao Chicken can. I love it. Kung Pao Chicken can. I love it. Hey, but yeah, that level of surveillance can be a bit much for some people. It's like you's wrong, and you might get a social credit deduction. I'm kidding, mostly. But seriously, statistically, violent crime in China is pretty low. It's safer to walk around my neighborhood. And my neighborhood subvert my neighborhood.
Parking. A universal nightmare. But okay, China sounds like the safer bet on paper, maybe a bit too safe for some tastes. What about India then? My impression is vibrant, chaotic, full of life. And maybe a little more unpredictable in terms of safety. Ooh.
Unpredictable is putting it mildly, Mira. India is like a Bollywood movie full of color, drama, and you never know when a plot twist is coming. Whoa. In big Indian cities, you've got this amazing energy, but you're more street smart than if you were navigating, say, a library.
Street smart library navigation. New podcast segment idea. But yeah, India. I've heard stories about petty theft being more common, especially in crowded tourist spots. Oops. Like watch or shine your camera at the same time. Ouch.
Giant camera juggling, that should be an Olympic sport in India. Look, India is incredibly diverse, and safety levels vary wildly. Some areas are super safe, others, well, let's just say you want to keep your wits about you. Especially in crowded markets or on public transport, being aware of your belongings is key. It's not like walking through a minefield, but it's definitely not an ant farm either.
Not an ant farm. Gosling. Got it. More like a bustling, vibrant, maybe slightly mischievous bazaar. What about serious crime? Like violent crime rates compared to China? Is there a significant difference?
Statistically, violent crime rates in India are generally higher than in China. But again, it's not a simple black and white picture. India is huge and there are regions with very different realities. Plus, reporting rates into very different realities. Plus, reporting rates and definitions of crime can vary, making direct comparisons tricky. It's like comparing apples and...
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, it sounds like in China, the perceived threat might be more about surveillance and maybe less personal street crime, whereas in India, it's more about being aware of your surroundings and potential petty theft, with statistically higher rates of more serious crime in general. Wow.
Pretty much, Mira, China's got that high-tech, omnipresent security blanket, which can feel both reassuring and a bit suffocating depending on your personality. India is more about personal vigilance and adapting to a more chaotic environment. It's like, in China, the system is watching out for you. In India, you're watching out for your street. And maybe making friends along the way who'll also keep an eye out.
Making friends with street vendors for extra security. It sounds like both countries have their own approaches to safety. And it really depends on what makes you feel secure, right? Some people might feel safer with cameras everywhere. Others might prefer more community-based. Look out for your neighbor VAR, even if it's a bit more free-spirited.
Free-spirited chaos. That's India in a nutshell. And China, well, it's organized spiritedness. Thing. Yeah. Anyway, for our listeners planning trips, I'd say in both China and do your research on specific areas, be aware of your surroundings, and maybe learn a few local phrases for help, just in case. Although, hopefully you'll only need hello and thank you.
Hello and thank you are always good starting points. And maybe, where's the best street food? In both languages. But seriously, safety is key, and it's good to know the different vibes and approaches in both China and India. Thanks for shedding some light on the less giggle-inducing but important stuff, Leo. Well,
Anytime, Mir. Even serious topics can have a funny side if you squint hard enough. Or have enough coffee. And speaking of serious and important, and perhaps making travel plans safer and easier, listeners can always check out Jetofe. For more info and resources, right?
absolutely, Leo. Jetor Fei is your friend when it comes to travel planning and info. And if you're enjoying our serious-ish chats, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. It's safer than wandering through a crowded market with your wallet hanging out.
Safer and almost as rewarding as fighting a hidden gem street food stall. Almost. All right, Mira. What's next on our country comparison adventure? Let's keep this train rolling. Hopefully safely.
All right, Leo, speaking of keeping things secure and safe, let's smoothly transition into our next topic, which is political stability and social harmony comparing China and India. You know, the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night if you're planning to move to a new country.
Political stability and social harmony, Mira. Sounds like a fancy way of asking, will my street food cart get bulldozed by the government next week? Just kidding, mostly. But seriously, folks tuning in on YouTube, this is crucial if you're thinking of setting up shop or just chilling long-term in either of these giants.
It's not just about the spicy food and cool temples, right? It's about feeling like your life won't suddenly turn into a soap opera because of political drama. Oh, so let's kick off with China. What's the vibe there politically?
China, my friend, is like that super organized friend who always has a plan, and that plan is usually followed, whether you like it or not. They've got a strong central government, and things tend to be, shall we say, predictably stable. Think of it as a well-oiled machine, a very, very big machine.
A machine indeed. And India, on the other hand, feels more like a vibrant, bustling marketplace, maybe? Wow, with lots of voices and opinions all at once?
Spot on, Mira. India is the world's largest democracy, which is fantastic for debates and discussions. You'll never be bored at dinner party, that's for sure. But all those voices can sometimes sound like a choir practicing in different keys. If you catch my drift?
Dynamic is one word for it. I've heard stories of rallies, protests, elections that are like national festivals were. It sounds exciting, but maybe also a tad unpredictable for someone used to quiet stability.
Unpredictable is the spice of life, Mira. Or so I tell myself when I'm stuck in a protest march I accidentally wandered into. But yeah, in India, you've got a real mix, lots of different political parties, regional variations, and a very active civil society. It's democracy in action, folks. Sometimes a bit chaotic action.
Sounds like it could be great material for your stand-up, Leo. But for someone thinking of moving, how does this translate to daily life? Like, will it affect your average expat trying to get their chime get to work?
Well, in China, daily life is generally smooth sailing, politically speaking. The government is pretty good at keeping things orderly, and you don't often see major disruptions. Unless, of course, there's a parade, those are epic. But day to day, it's pretty stable.
Orderly and stable sounds very efficient. India, with its dynamic democracy, does that mean more everyday drama? Like, will your commute suddenly be blocked by a political rally?
It can happen. Mira, it can happen. Traffic in India is already an adventure sport. And add a political rally? But in all seriousness, while there can be occasional protests or disruptions locked, but in the occasional protests or disruptions, It's usually localized and life goes on. Ooh,
Navigating chaos, an essential life skill in India, perhaps? What about social harmony then? Because political stability is one thing, but how do people from different backgrounds get along in both countries?
social harmony is fascinating in both places, actually. China is incredibly diverse with many ethnic groups, but the government emphasizes unity and social cohesion. It's like everyone is part of one giant, harmonious orchestra playing the same tune.
An orchestra playing the same tune, interesting analogy. Liam, and India, with its mind-boggling diversity of religions, languages, castes, how does harmony work there? Wow, is it like a jazz ensemble maybe? Lots of improvisation, but somehow it comes together?
Jazz ensemble, Mira. I like that. India is a symphony of, well, everything. India is a symphony of, well, everything. You've got Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, and more, all living side by side. It's a beautiful, if sometimes noisy mix. That in the social tensions, of course, but also incredible resilience and coexistence.
Noisy but beautiful. That sums up India pretty well, I think. And China, is it more quiet harmony? Like everyone politely agreeing to disagree? Or just agreeing?
China's social harmony is more about collective goals and shared values, often guided by the government. It's less about open disagreement and more about finding common ground, or at least appearing to. Think of it as a beautifully choreographed dance. Everyone knows their steps.
Choreographed dance versus just improvisation. This is painting a vivid picture, Leo. So, for someone thinking of moving, which environment might feel more comfortable socially, it really depends on your personality, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Mira. If you prefer predictability and a clear social structure, China might feel more straightforward. If you thrive in diversity, love vibrant cultural exchanges, and don't mind a bit of social, shall we say, spicinces, then India, cup of masala chai.
So, political stability and social harmony in China and India both have their unique flavors, just like their cuisines. Oh, for our listeners on YouTube and Jet Off AI, if you're still trying to decide, maybe think about whether you prefer a well-oiled machine or a jazz ensemble. That might just help you choose.
Or just visit Jet Off AI and let our country comparison tools do the heavy lifting. Yeah, Mira's right. It's about what vibes with your personal style. Both countries offer incredible experiences, just in different ways. And hey, maybe you'll even find a great stand-up routine in the political and social nuances of each. Always look for the humor, folks.
Our current topic, we compare economic conditions and cost of living into countries, exploring their impact on expats' financial realities. From solid job market stats to practical daily expenses, let's dive in, shall we? Ooh, I'm excited. Are you excited, Liam?
Excited as I can be about economics, Mira. Which is roughly equivalent to my excitement about doing laundry, but hey, let's see if we can make numbers sound fun. Maybe we can invent economic jokes? Like, why did the stock market break up with the investor?
Yeah, you're killing me already. Common interest rates. That's actually kind of clever. See, listeners, even economics can be hilarious with Leo around. But seriously, let's talk about China and India. First off, China's been like BR, economic superpower for a while now, right?
BM. More like billionaires ascending mountains. Wow. China's economy is indeed a behemoth, Mira. Second largest in the world, last I checked. They're like the express train of global economics, just coming along building infrastructure, making things lots and lots of things. You want a gadget? China's got it. You want a skyscraper?
Skyscraper Central. Well, and India, on the other hand, is like maybe a slightly less speedy train, but still on a very exciting journey, right? Like a colorful, bustling, slightly chaotic train.
Chaotic is one word for it, Mira. Chaotic is one word for it, Mira. I prefer vibrant tapestry of economic activity. India is the world's largest democracy, and their economy is also booming, just maybe with a bit more spice. Think tech startups, Bollywood dreams. and a whole lot of people. It's like a massive market just waiting to explode. And in many ways, it already is.
And speaking of markets, what about job opportunities for expats? I mean, if you're thinking of moving for work, which country is waving you in with the bigger paycheck and fewer forms in triplicate?
Well, in China, for expats, the big sectors are often tech, finance, and education, especially teaching English. They can be pretty good, especially if you're in a major city like Shanghai or Beijing. But be ready for competition in the infamous Chinese. Firewall blocking your favorite cat videos.
Oh no, not the cat videos. Whoa, that's a serious issue, Leo. But good to know about the sectors. And for India, I'm picturing call centers and yoga studios.
Yoga is big, but not exactly a booming expat job sector. India's got a huge IT and software industry. Bangalore is basically the Silicon Valley of India. Also, lots of opportunities in pharmaceuticals, engineering, and increasingly, in the service sector as India's middle class expands. Salaries might not be as eye-popping as in China for some sectors, but cost of living can be significantly lower.
Oh, cost of living. The magic words. Because a big paycheck is great. But if your rent eats it all, what's the point, right? So, spill the beans, Leo. Which country is going to leave more rupees or yuan in your pocket after the bills are paid?
Generally, India wins on the cost of living front. Hands down, rent in major Indian cities, while rising is still generally lower than in comparable Chinese megacities. Food, daily expenses all tend to be more affordable in India. China's getting pricier, especially in those shiny first-tier cities. India is still economic fancy.
I like that. So, India is like, you can live like royalty on a reasonable budget. And China is more like, you can live comfortably if you watch your spending.
Comfortably if you're strategic, Mira. In China, especially in the big cities, you can easily spend a fortune if you're not careful. Imported goods, fancy restaurants, and that urge to buy every cool gadget you see, it adds up. India, you can live very well on a smaller budget, eat amazing street food for pennies, and still have money left over for adventures.
Street food for pennies. Oh, now you're talking my language. Because food is basically the most important economic indicator, right? If the street food is cheap and delicious, the economy is healthy. That's my economic theory anyway. What do you think, listeners? Do you agree with my street food economics? And while you're there, give us a like and subscribe. It helps keep this podcast in general I going.
Mira's street food economics might actually be onto something there. But yes, to be a bit more serious, the cost of groceries, eating out, and transport in India is generally lower. You can get a decent meal for a couple of dollars, while in China, especially in touristy areas, you might pay Western prices.
Western prices in China. Ouch! That's a bit of a shocker, especially if you're expecting everything to be super cheap. So, for someone really budget conscious, India sounds like the winner in this round, right?
For pure budget living, absolutely, India often comes out on top. But it's not just about being cheap, it's about value for money. In India, your money goes further, but in China, you might be getting access to a more developed infrastructure and maybe higher average salaries in certain sectors.
Trade-offs. Trade-offs always with the trade-offs, Leo. But that's a good way to think about it. It's not just about being cheap. It's about what you're getting for your money. So, if you're all about the big city hustle and maybe a bigger salary, China might tempt you. Even if your avocado toast costs a fortune.
Exactly. And if you're looking for a more relaxed pace, a lower cost of living, and maybe a richer cultural immersion, India could be more appealing, even if you're navigating slightly more organic infrastructure, shall we say.
Leo, you are a wordsmith. So, to sum it up for economic conditions and cost of living China, big economy, Maybe bigger paychecks but higher costs, especially in big cities. India also booming. Potentially lower paychecks but significantly lower. Cost of living and maybe more economic comfiness. Is that a fair summary? Aha!
Fair and comically concise, Mira. Basically, if you want to feel rich on a budget, maybe India. If you want to chase the big bucks and don't mind paying for it, China. And if you want to really dig into the nitty-gritty of expat finances, Cheddar, wouldn't you say?
Jedofei is your best friend for all things expat life, including figuring out where your money will stretch the furthest. So definitely check out Jedofei for more detailed comparisons and maybe some less comically concise economic data. Okay, Leo, are you ready to move on to our next topic? Perhaps something less economically focused. Oh, Thea. So next up on our grand tour of comparisons, let's talk about where we'd actually sleep if we decided to pack our bags for China or India. Accommodation, right? It's more than just a bed, it's like your home base for adventures. Oh.
Home base or potential comedy club material, Mira? Because let's be honest, sometimes accommodation in certain places feels more like an entrance desk than a relaxing retreat. But yeah, China versus India, let's see who wins the best place to crash without losing your mind award.
Leo, you're so dramatic. But okay, maybe a little endurance is part of the adventure, right? So, China first in picturing super modern cities, so we're talking sleek apartments everywhere. Wow, like in a sci-fi movie.
Sci-fi movie, if that sci-fi movie is set in a slightly dystopian future where everyone lives in tiny boxes. In the big Chinese cities, yeah, you'll find modern apartments, but spacious is not exactly the first word that spank efficient use of space, which is a polite way of saying cozy.
I like cozy. Like, cozy. Like a cute little dumpling, all wrapped up snugly. Ooh, but seriously, are they nice inside? Like all Maud consent, everything. Because I need my hairdery and my smoothie maker, you know. The essentials.
Hairdery? Probably. Smoothie maker? Space might be at a premium, Mira. Quality-wise, it can be a mixed bag. Newer apartments in China can be pretty swanky, especially in the expat areas. Think gyms, fancy lobbies, maybe even a robot butler if you're lucky. But older places, well, let's just say characterful.
Characterful can mean anything, can't it? Like, characterfully damp, characterfully assured with characterful roommates you didn't ask for. Oops, but what about India then? In picturing vibrant colors, maybe a bit more bohemian.
Bohemian is one word for it. Another word is very, shall we say. India is a continent in disguise, Mira. You can find everything from super luxurious villas that would make your jaw drop to, well, let's just say rustic guest houses where the charm is definitely in the eye of the beholder.
Ooh, like maybe a hammock on a vern and monkeys in the trees. That sounds kinda dreamy, actually. But practically, if you're living there, are we talking apartments again? Or are houses more common?
In Indian cities, apartments are definitely on the rise, especially in the newer developments. But you're also likely to find more independent houses, particularly as you move away from the city centers or into smaller towns. And yes, verandas are definitely a possibility, monkey sightings, less guaranteed, but still possible.
Okay, India's winning on the potential for monkey encounters already. But quality-wise in India then, compared to China? Is it similar mixed bag situation? Or what?
Similar, but maybe with a slightly wider range of mixed. In India, you can find incredibly luxurious places that are truly world-class. But you can also find places that, well, let's just say the quality standards might be a little more flexible. Think beautiful old colonial buildings. Maybe a bit faded glory alongside supermodern. Glass and steel towers.
Faded glory. That sounds romantic in a way. Like staying in a historical movie set. Oh, but if we're being practical again, what about things like, plumbing? And electricity? Are we likely to be battling power cuts and drunk showers in either place? Oops.
Power cuts, especially in India, can be a feature, shall we say. Less so in the major Chinese cities days, but in some parts of India, a generator might become your new best friend. In plumbing, well, let's just say both countries have their own unique approach to water pressure.
That's my motto. Adventure plumbing and surprise power outages, it's all part of the cultural immersion, right? But seriously, if someone's moving to either place, what kind of advice would we give them about finding a good spot? Like websites to use or areas to look in.
For China, websites like Zroom and Lianjie are pretty popular for rentals, especially in the big cities. Expat communities tend to cluster in certain areas, so do a bit of research online to find out the expat hotspots in your chosen city. And for India, sites like Housing Common Magic Breaks are worth checking out. Again, look for expat areas, they often have better infrastructure.
Noty. Like little islands of familiarity in a sea of amazing newness. Wow, ow. And I guess, like anywhere, location is key, right? Being near to work or good transport, or maybe a really good street food market priorities.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the importance of air conditioning, especially in the summer months in both China and India. Trust me, aircon is not a luxury, it's a survival tool. And 80-pack a good sense of humor, just in case your characterful apartment decides to throw a few extra characterful surprises your way.
A sense of humor and industrial strength bug spray, got it. So, accommodation in China and India diverse, definitely an adventure, and maybe pack a few extra emergency candles and a really good travel adapter. Sounds like fun. Well, maybe fun is the wrong word. Memorable. Definitely memorable. Definitely memorable. Definitely memorable.
Memorable, yes. And hey, at least you'll have some great stories to tell your friends back home. Oh, you think your apartment's quirky? Let me tell you about the time I shared my bathroom with a gecko in it. Yay! That's podcast gold right there, Mira. Podcast gold.
Oddcast gold? Exactly. And if anyone wants to share their own memorable accommodation stories from China or India, drop them in the YouTube comments, please. We're always looking for new material, you know. And while you're there, maybe hit that like button and subscribe, because who knows what hilarious comparisons we'll be diving into next. Ew. Thanks, Jet Off AI, for keeping us house metaphorically speaking in this podcast studio anyway.
Indeed, thanks Jet Off AI. And yeah, let us know your accommodation nightmares or triumphs. We equal opportunity story collectors here. Until next time, folks. And Mira, remind me to pack extra coffee for our next adventure, wherever that may be.
All right, Leo. Let's tackle something that can make even the most adventurous traveler sweat a little visas and immigration, especially when we're talking about giants like China and India. It's like, are we signing up for a walk in the park or climbing Mount Bureaucracy?
Mount Bureaucracy. I love it, Mira. Sounds like a new extreme sport. Cause let's be honest, sometimes dealing with visas feels like you need ropes, oxygen, and a Sherpa guide, right? You're not just packing your suitcase, you're packing your patience and maybe a lawyer's number on speed dial.
And China, with its great wall and, well, great bureaucracy reputation, can seem like the ultimate boss level. I remember a friend trying to get a business visa, and she said it felt like she was auditioning for a role in a spy movie. Wow. Questionnaires longer than novels, document checklists that looked like ancient scrolls.
Oh, yeah. China's visa process has a certain mystique. It's like they're saying, prove you are I want to come here. I heard a story about a guy who had to submit his grandmother's birth certificate just to prove he wasn't a threat to national security. Whoa! Grandma's secret agent past revealed.
Grandma agent, Granny. See, that's the kind of story that makes you wonder if you should just send a carrier pigeon with your application instead. But seriously, it's not just the paperwork. It's the feeling that every T has to be crossed into every I dotted in triplicate with a magnifying glass.
Totally, hun. India, while it's known for its incredible hospitality, sometimes the official side can be a bit colorful too. I once tried to extend my tourist visa there, thinking, oh, it'll be a breeze. Famous last words. It involved multiple offices, waiting rooms that could double as saunas, and enough phones to wallpaper a small apartment.
The legendary Indian bureaucracy. It's like they invented the concept, right? I heard someone describe it as an obstacle course designed by a committee of paperwork enthusiasts. Ooh, you start thinking, maybe I should just become a digital nomad and live on a boat instead.
A boat sounds tempting, doesn't it? Suddenly, international waters are looking very appealing. But back to India. I think the key is to embrace the chaos. It's not about efficiency, it's about the journey, man. The bureaucratic journey. Think of it as a character-building exercise.
Character building. Love that spin, Leo. It's like saying, this visa process isn't stressful. It's just advanced personality development. But you're right. In India, sometimes you just have to go with the flow. And maybe bring snacks. Definitely bring snacks for those waiting rooms.
Snacks. And maybe a good book. Or learn to meditate. These offices are basically advanced meditation retreats in disguise. But honestly, in both China and India, it feels like things are slowly getting slightly less paper-based.
Hope springs eternal, and digital visas are the dream. Imagine applying for a visa on your phone while sipping coffee. Though, knowing our luck, it'll probably involve facial recognition software that only works if you're remaking a specific funny face.
Visa selfie time. Okay, everyone, do your best pleading for entry face. But you know, despite the potential headaches, people still flock to both China and India because the payoff, the culture, the experiences, it's worth climbing that Mount bureaucracy, right?
Absolutely. Our little paperwork mountain is nothing compared to the Himalayas of amazing experiences waiting for you. Wow. Just remember to start your visa application like yesterday. And maybe pack a sense of humor. And definitely those snacks.
Sense of humor, snacks, and maybe a stress ball shaped like a passport. Perfect travel kit for tackling those visa adventures. All right, Mir. What's next on our global comparison tour? Less about paperwork mountains, hopefully?
All right, Leah. So our next stop on this comparative world tour is healthcare. Access to health services and the quality of them. It's kind of a big deal, right? Especially if you're thinking of packing your bags and moving somewhere new.
Healthcare, yes. Very important unless you plan on living forever, Mira. Speaking of packing bags, imagine needing medical help in a foreign country and realizing your phrase book doesn't cover where is the nearest decent hospital and why. Is everything written in hieroglyphics?
Okay, maybe not quite hieroglyphics, but navigating a new healthcare system can feel like deciphering an ancient language sometimes. Let's think about China first, shall we? From what I hear, they've made HUGEE leaps in healthcare access, especially in the cities.
Huge leaps is one way to put it, Mira. Another way is building hospitals faster than I can finish my coffee. China's got the numbers, that's for sure. Massive infrastructure, aiming to get everyone covered, kind of like a healthcare revolution on a grand scale. Impressive if you like concrete and efficiency.
Efficiency can be good, though. Leo, imagine needing to see a doctor and you can actually get an appointment without waiting till next Tuesday week. Plus, they're investing in technology like crazy, right? Telemedicine, AI gnostics. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Wow.
Sci-fi with a side of bureaucracy, maybe. Tech is great, but it's still healthcare. You might get a robot doctor diagnosing you, but will it offer you a comforting pat on the back and tell you a bad joke while it's in it? I doubt it. And all that impressive infrastructure, it's not always evenly spread across the giant country, is it?
True. I guess getting top-notch care in Beijing or Shanghai is probably different from a rural village. But still, the sheer scale of what they are doing is amazing. What about India then? India's got a huge population too, right? How does their healthcare scene compare?
India. Imagine the opposite of a centrally planned, concrete-heavy system and you're getting closer. India's healthcare is diverse. Like incredibly diverse. You've got world-class private hospitals that are like luxury hotels. And then you have...
That sounds a bit dramatic, Leo. But I get what you mean. India's got a booming private healthcare sector, especially for medical tourism, right? People fly in from all over for procedures. Wow.
Medical tourism, yes. Excellent for your hip replacement holiday package. But for the average person, access and quality can be variable. Let's just say, if you're comparing public healthcare in China and India, China is probably winning on sheer accessibility and infrastructure investment. Did I say something controversial?
Maybe a little. It's a comparison, right? We're just chatting. India's public system. I know it faces HUGE challenges, just because of the sheer numbers of people. But they also have some amazing doctors and medical professionals, right? And maybe a more personal touch.
Personal touch is a lovely way to describe potentially overcrowded and under-resourced facilities. Look, Indian doctors are brilliant, no doubt. They see E-R-Y-D-H-I-N-G. They're like medical ninjas diagnosing things with limited resources that would make a Western doctor faint. Wow, but the system itself, it's under immense pressure.
For an expat, what does this all mean practically? If you get sick in China, you're likely to find a shiny, modern hospital in a big city, maybe a bit impersonal? If you get sick in India, you might end up in a super fancy private hospital if you can afford it. Or well, maybe it's a bit more of an adventure. What?
Adventure? Yes, medical adventure tourism. New podcast niche, maybe? For expats, health insurance is KIY in both places. In China, private insurance can get you into those fancy international wings of hospitals where English is spoken and things are a bit more westernized. In India, it's almost essential if you want to reliably access decent private care.
Insurance, always the grown-up answer, isn't it? But seriously, yeah. Health insurance is a must, wherever you are. But it sounds like in China, the system is maybe more predictable. Like, you know what you're getting, even if it's a bit robotic doctor-ish.
Predictable, yes. Standardized, maybe. Efficient, definitely. But maybe lacking a certain human element. Like, don't expect your doctor in a busy Chinese public hospital to have time for a long chat about your feelings. They've got patients to see and targets to meet. It's a machine, a well-oiled, sometimes slightly cold machine.
And India? More human, maybe? Even if it's a bit more chaotic. Like, you might wait longer, things might be less streamlined, but you might get a doctor who actually looks you in the eye and listens. Oh.
Looks you in the eye and listens, Mira. You're turning this into a Bollywood movie. It's more like you might get a doctor who's incredibly skilled and genuinely cares, but is also completely overwhelmed and working in a system that's constantly struggling. It's a mixed bag of very colorful, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately human mixed bag.
So I thought eye-flighting. Colorful and frustrating. That kind of sums up India in general, doesn't it? So, healthcare access and quality China. Efficient, maybe a bit impersonal, improving rapidly. India, wildly diverse, potentially amazing private care, if you can afford it. Public system under pressure, but full of dedicated people. Wow. Sounds like another point where it depends is the answer, Leo?
It depends, the unofficial motto of our podcast, Mira. It depends on your budget, your health insurance, your insurance, your location, and your tolerance for medical adventures, and how much you value a comforting bedside manner versus super-fast, tech-driven efficiency. Ultimately, both countries have their own unique healthcare landscapes. Just make sure you pack that phrase book and maybe a good sense of humor.
Maybe some extra strong hand sanitizer just in case. Oops, only joking. Okay, healthcare checked. What's next on our list of comparisons, Leo? Oh. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Mira here, ready to compare and contrast again. Today, we're diving into the world of getting around transportation infrastructure and convenience into giants China and India. I was just imagining trying to navigate rush hour in either place is enough to make your head spin.
Hey folks, Leo chiming in. Mira, you say head spin. I say comedy goldmine. Just picture it, the sheer chaos of trying to catch a bus in Delhi versus the super efficient, almost robotic subway in Shanghai. It's like comparing a Bollywood dance-off to a perfectly synchronized military parade. Let's see which country wins the transportation race, shall we?
A dance off versus a parade. I love that, Leo. I love that. Leo, let's start with public transportation. Because that's how most of us get around in big cities, right? In India, it's like an adventure just stepping onto a bus or train. You're packed in like sardines, but everyone's chatting and laughing. And there's this incredible energy. It's not always on time. And sometimes it feels like the bus is held together by sheer willpower. But it's an experience.
Willpower and maybe a bit of chewing gum, Mira. In China, public transport is less about willpower and more about well-engineered power. Think sleek, modern subways that are so punctual, you could set your watch by them. High-speed trains that whisk you across the country faster than you can say bullet train. It's efficient, sometimes it's a bit less spontaneous than India, shall we say?
Spontaneous is definitely the word for India. You might hop on a train thinking you're going to Mumbai and end up in Goa because, well, why not? It's all part of the charm, right? And the cost. Indian public transport is incredibly affordable. You can travel for hours on barely spend anything. It's like adventure on a shoestring travel at its finest.
Adventure on a shoestring indeed. In China, while still affordable, it's a step up in price, but also a galactic leap in terms of probability. You buy a ticket, you get to your destination usually on time and comfort. No unexpected detours to go unless you actually booked a ticket to Goa. It's less about surprise holiday and more about reliable transit.
Okay. Predictability has its merits. But what about the roads themselves? I've heard Indian roads can be an experience. Like, you're not just driving, you're dodging cows, navigating potholes the size of small swimming pools, and playing chicken with oncoming traffic. It's like a real-life...
Real-life video game is putting it mildly, Mira. India, roads can be challenging, let's say, but, hey, it builds character. And keeps you on your toes, literally. In China, on the other hand, they've built this massive network of highways, smooth as silk, stretching for miles and miles. You could practically drive across the country on cruise control. Almost as smooth.
Never? Smooth roads mean you can actually enjoy the scenery, right? Though, I have to admit, there's something kind of thrilling about a bumpy Indian road trip. You never know what you're going to see around the next bend, a wedding procession, a monkey riding a motorbike. Anything is possible.
Every journey is a story and possibly a near-death experience, Mira. Just kidding mostly. But yeah, China's highway system is seriously impressive. It's made travel within the country so much easier and faster. It's a breeze to rent a car and explore. Less white-knuckle driving, more scenic cruising.
Scenic cruising? That sounds lovely. But you know, even with the unique road conditions in India, there's a certain charm to it. You see so much more. You interact with people more, you're just more connected to the journey. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about everything in between. Oh, and when you finally reach your destination after all that, it feels like such an accomplishment.
An accomplishment, yes. Big test of endurance, also yes. In China, it's more about efficient connectivity. They've invested massively in infrastructure, and it shows. It's all about speed, convenience, and getting things done. Think of it like this: India is the spice market, vibrant, chaotic, full of surprises. China is the modern shopping mall, organized, efficient, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Spice market versus shopping mall. I love that analogy, Leo. It really sums it up. So, for travelers, what does all this mean? Well, in India, be prepared for an adventure. Embrace the chaos, and maybe download a good offline map app. But you'll have incredible stories to tell, and you'll really feel like you've experienced something authentic. And for travel tips and more insights, you can always check out Jet Off AI, right?
Absolutely, Jet Off AI is your travel guru. And for China, travelers can expect smooth sailing, literally and figuratively. Getting around is easy, reliable, and often high-tech. You can use apps for everything from booking train tickets to navigating subways. It's incredibly convenient, especially if you're short on time or predictable travel experience. Wow! And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more comparisons.
So, in a nutshell, transportation in India is an experience in itself, full of surprises and maybe a few bumps along the road. While China is all about efficiency, modernity, and getting you where you need to be on time and in comfort. Both have their own unique appeal, depending on what kind of traveler you are and what kind of journey you're looking for.
Exactly. It's like asking, do you want a wild roller coaster ride or a smooth, scenic train journey? Both are fun, just in different ways. And for more fun travel comparisons and tips, remember to visit Jet Off AI. They've got loads of cool stuff there. And if you enjoyed this podcast, share it with your friends.
Definitely share it. And let us know in the comments which transportation experience sounds more appealing to you, the Indian adventure or the Chinese efficiency. We're curious to hear. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And big thanks to Jet Off AI for supporting our podcast and making all this possible.
Cheers to Jet Off AI. And remember, folks, whether you prefer the organized efficiency of China or the chaotic charm of India, the world is your oyster or maybe your samosa or your dumpling. Until next time.
Alright, Leo. Let's chat about something that can really trip up travelers' language barriers. And Jay, we're tackling today's China and India. Oh,
Language barriers, Mira. The ultimate travel workout for your brain and your funny bone. China and India talk about jumping from the Great Wall to the Himalayas of linguistic diversity.
I mean China, with Mandarin being the big boss. But then you've got like a gazillion dialects, right? It's like ordering noodles in one part of China and accidentally asking for, well, who knows what.
I gazillion dialects is putting it mildly, Mira. It's more like trying to understand a stand-up comedian who's gargling marbles while beatboxing. Whoa. And Mandarin, sure, official language, but good luck hearing the same Mandarin from Beijing to Guangzhou. It's all lost in translation before you even start.
Oh, totally. And India. Ugh. It's like every state has its own language party. Hindi, English, and then a whole bunch more that sound like beautiful songs to my ears. But try ordering chai in all of them. My tongue might just tie itself in a knot.
Knot is an understatement, Mira. India is linguistic buffet delicious, but utterly overwhelming. You think you've mastered Hindi, and then you cross the state border and suddenly you're speaking Martian. Aha! And don't even get me started on the different scripts. It's like learning hieroglyphics for fun.
But isn't that part of the fun, Leo? The adventure? Like pointing at food and hoping for the best? Or doing your best charades to ask for directions? It's like a game show. Can Mira get a taxi?
A game show where the prize is often just mild confusion and maybe a slightly wrong turn, Mira. For expats, though, it's less of a game show and more of a daily survival challenge. Imagine trying to navigate bureaucracy in a language you barely understand. Ouch! Paperwork in triplicate, all in Indus Fibber script. Nightmares are made of this.
Okay. Paperwork in another language does sound like a villain in a spy movie. But hey, at least English is somewhat helpful in India, right? Like a common ground lifeline for us English speakers.
Lifeline is a strong word, Mira. English is definitely more widely spoken in India, especially in cities and tourist areas. But rely on it exclusively and you might miss out on a lot. Plus, sometimes Indian English and American English have a shall we say.
I learned. Like ordering chips and getting crisps, not fries. Or asking for the loo and getting well, maybe just a confused stare?
Precisely. Mira, or the classic head bobble in India. Is it no? Is it maybe? Is it no? Is it maybe? Is it maybe? Is it I'm just enjoying the breeze? It's a communication enigma wrapped in cultural mystery. Whoa.
It's like the universal sign for acknowledging you. I still haven't quite cracked that code. But in China, it's more about tones, right? Same word, different tones, totally different meaning. My brain does a little somersault just thinking about it. Oops.
Somersault is an understatement, Mira. Chinese tones are like a vocal roller coaster. Get the tone wrong, and Ma can go from mother to horster. Imagine asking for your horse when you met your mother at dinner. Ouch, awkward family reunions guaranteed.
My gosh, family dinner misunderstandings. That's comedy gold, Leo. But seriously, for us travelers, language apps are like magic wands, right? Point. Problem solved.
Magic wands that sometimes produce hilariously inaccurate translations, Mira. Language apps are helpful, sure, but they're not mind readers. They can get you basic phrases, but nuanced conversations, cultural understanding, still a human job.
True. No, app can replace a good giggle over a language mishap. And you know what else helps? Gestures. Universal language of pointing and miming. Like, if I want noodles, I can totally pretend to slur, right?
Slurping is a good start, Mira. Though in some cultures, enthusiastic slurping is a compliment, in others less so. Gestures work, but cultural nuances still apply. A thumbs up might be great in some places, and, well, offensive in others. Travel, it's a minefield of potential misunderstandings, isn't it?
A hilarious, wonderful minefield. But hey, that's why we travel, right? To learn to laugh. And maybe occasionally order the wrong thing and end up with a caffeine-flavored fashion statement.
Caffeine-flavored fashion statements aside, Mira. It's all about embracing the chaos, isn't it? Language barriers are just part of the adventure. And who knows, maybe those hilarious misunderstandings become the best stories later. Just remember to point slowly, speak lowly, and maybe pack a phrase book, just in case. And for more tips and tricks on navigating language barriers and cultural differences, don't forget to check out Jet Off Freya, folks. We've got articles and resources to help you on your next adventure.
Exactly, Leo. And if you enjoyed our linguistic roller coaster ride today, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Who knows? Maybe in our next episode, we'll attempt to speak Mandarin and Hindi live. Whoa! Now TH80 would be a language barrier challenge. Until next time, happy travels, everyone. Oh, okay, Leo. So we're diving into cultural diversity and tolerance this time around. It's like comparing to giant spice racks, isn't it? Each with a million different flavors.
Yeah, you always make it sound like we're in a global kitchen. But yeah, China and India, when it comes to culture, it's less spice rack and more like entire spice rash. This rice warehouse district's phasing off.
And it's not just about the spices, it's how they all blend together, or sometimes don't. Like, imagine trying to make a smoothie with every single ingredient in those warehouses. It could be either a masterpiece or, well, something else.
Something else is putting it mildly. More like a culinary black hole. But you're right, the sheer scale is mind-boggling. India, with its billion-plus people, feels like a continent masquerading as a country. China, not far behind, has its own flavor explosion too. Wow.
And think about the languages. India has like a zillion official languages, right? It's amazing. You could travel from breakfast to lunch and need a whole new dictionary. Whoa!
More like a library, Mira. And China, while maybe not as linguistically diverse officially, still has tons of dialects that sound completely different. Imagine ordering noodles in Beijing and ending up with dumplings because you sneezed wrong while speaking.
Or imagine trying to tell a joke across different regions. What's hilarious in Shanghai might be totally lost in translation in, say, Sichuan. It's like stand-up comedy on hard mode.
Stand-up comedy on linguistic steroids, maybe? And it's not just language, is it? Food, clothing, festivals every few hundred kilometers in both countries. It's like stepping into a different cultural movie set.
Think of Indian weddings, for example. They're like these epic, days-long celebrations, bursting with color and music and traditions. And you look at Chinese New Year, with the dragons and lanterns lanterns and red envelopes as festival mania. Oh,
Sorry, think that we can talk of that. Festival mania is right. Though sometimes I wonder, with all these festivals, do people actually get any work done? Just kidding. But seriously, managing that much diversity, keeping everyone feeling like they belong, that's a real tightrope walk.
tolerance is the key, right? Like, everyone needs to agree that even if someone else's spice mix is weird, it's still, well, interesting. Maybe even delicious in its own way.
Interesting is definitely the diplomatic word for it. But yeah, tolerance. It's easy to say, harder to actually live. Especially when you've got so many groups, each with their own history, their own way of doing things. Wow.
And history, oh boy. Both China and India have these ancient, super long histories, with empires and dynasties and all sorts of cultural layers piled on top of each other. It's like archaeology, but with people.
Archaeology with opinions mirror. And sometimes those opinions clash. You know, historical baggage. Different interpretations of the past that can make the tolerance part a bit bumpy.
Bumpy like a rickshaw ride on a cobblestone street. But you know, I think people mostly get along in their daily lives, right? Like, you see folks from different backgrounds working together, eating together, making YouTube videos together.
True. Everyday life is usually smoother than the headlines suggest. People are busy living, working, trying to find the best street food. But those underlying tensions, those different viewpoints, they're always simmering, aren't they?
Simmering like a good curry. Okay, maybe that's a bad analogy, but I guess what I mean is, cultural diversity is amazing. It's enriching, but it also needs, what's the word? Gentle handling, like a really delicate spice. But
Gentle handling and maybe a dash of humor? Because sometimes when cultures bump into each other, it's funny, it's material forced and up routine.
and that's where we come in, right? We can talk about it, explore it, maybe even make a few jokes about it, and help people understand each other a little better. Like, hey, we're all a bit weird and that's okay. Ooh.
We're all a bit weird, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel to see just how weird. Something like that. But yeah, shining a light on it. In a fun way, that's the goal. And maybe point people towards resources like Jedolf AI to learn more too.
Jedolf AI is like the ultimate guide to navigating all these cultural warehouses we're talking about. If you're curious, go check it out. And hey, if you're enjoying this cultural spice tour, give us a like on YouTube. Yeah.
A like and a subscribe, because we're just getting started on this cultural buffet. And who knows, maybe in the comments people can share their own stories of cultural mix-ups and moments of tolerance or hilarious misunderstandings.
Oh, yes. Comment below with your funniest cultural loops moment. We want to hear them all. And maybe we can even feature some in a future episode. Wow.
Future episodes of cultural loops and hilarious tolerances. It's got a ring to it, doesn't it? But seriously, understanding and appreciating diversity, it's not just a topic, it's life. It's Nina's life.
It is what makes the world so incredibly interesting. So here's to celebrating all the flavors, all the spices, all the wonderful, weird, and amazing cultures out there. Cheers to cultural diversity and tolerance. Oh.
Cheers to that, Mira. And may your spice smoothie always be palatable.
All right, Leah. Speaking of broadening horizons, let's chat about something super important for anyone thinking of moving or just getting smarter. Education. Specifically, educational opportunities and language schools in China and India. Ready to dive into the world of textbooks and maybe some spicy noodles? Well,
Spicy noodles and textbooks. Sounds like my kind of university. Education, yeah, it's it's that thing we tell kids is important while we secretly binge watch cat videos online. But seriously, Mira, comparing China and India in this department, let's see which country gets the gold star in the Classroom Olympics.
Classroom Olympics. I love it. Okay, So, let's kick things off with China. When you think of education there, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For me, it's like super serious, right? Everyone's studying like crazy for those big exams.
Oh, yeah, China. I picture rows and rows of kids with perfect posture, all scribbling away like their lives depend on it. And probably some ancient wise teacher with a long white beard, right? But hey, that seriousness pays off. The literacy rates are sky high, aren't they?
China's literacy rate is like through the roof. It's amazing how far they've come. And they are seriously investing in education, especially in tech and science. Makes you wonder if they're all secretly building robots to take over the world. What?
Robots taking over the world. Now that's an educational outcome. But seriously, Mira, you're right about the investment. China's pouring money into universities research. Everything. They want to be the top of the class globally, and they're not messing around. It's like they're saying, we're not just making your gadgets, we're educating the people who invent them. Wow.
And think about their teaching methods. They are known for being super structured and disciplined, right? Maybe a little less let's all sit in a circle and share our feelings and more memorize this formula or else.
Memorize or else. Sounds like my math classes in school. Ouch. But yeah, the Chinese system is definitely more traditional in some ways. But hey, it gets results. They're churning out engineers and scientists like crazy. You can't argue with success, right?
True, true. Now, let's hop over to India. India's education scene is a whole different vibe, wouldn't you say? Like, it's massive and diverse, with a mix of everything from ancient traditions to cutting-edge tech schools. It's like a colorful, chaotic classroom. Ooh.
Chaotic classroom is right. India is like education on steroids. You've got everything from super prestigious IITs and I'm there world class to, well, let's just say a whole spectrum of other educational institutions. It's a land of incredible brains and also, let's be honest, some serious challenges in access and quality.
India has these incredible institutions like the IITs you mentioned that are producing top-notch engineers and tech minds. But then, you also have huge disparities in education, especially in rural areas. It's like two worlds in one country.
So, I think that we can conquer that. It's a massive challenge, Mira. India's trying to educate a population the size of a continent with all sorts of different languages, cultures, and economic backgrounds. It's like trying to conduct an orchestra with 1 million musicians and half of them haven't even seen an instrument before. But you know what? They are making progress, slowly but surely.
And India is becoming a major hub for innovation in tech too. Think about Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. They are rocking the IT world. And that's all fueled by their education system, even with its challenges. It's super impressive. Wow.
Bangalore, yeah. It's like the brain center of India. And you see all these incredible tech startups coming out of India. They're solving problems for billions of people, often with really creative and affordable solutions. Jugaad innovation, they call. Wow, ingenious stuff. Wow.
Dad, it's like we'll figure it out, even if we have to use duct tape and a prayer. And that spirit is definitely reflected in their approach to education sometimes. They are resourceful and innovative, finding ways to make things work even with limited resources.
And when we talk about language schools, both China and India offer some amazing opportunities, right? Learning Mandarin is like the hot ticket right now, and in India, with its English-speaking advantage in diverse languages, is also a fascinating place for language studies.
Oh yeah, Mandarin. Everyone wants to learn Mandarin these days. It's like the new cool language. And China is definitely the place to immerse yourself. Imagine learning Mandarin while exploring the Great Wall and eating dumplings. Sounds like a dream study abroad program. Oh.
Dumplings in the Great Wall while learning Mandarin. Now, you're talking my language. But seriously, China has some top-notch universities offering Mandarin programs for foreigners. And living there, you're forced to practice, which is the best way to learn, right? No escaping the language police.
And India, on the other hand, offers this incredible mix of languages. You can learn Hindi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Urdu, the list goes on. Plus, English is widely spoken, so it's a great place to learn English as a second language too. Or even to teach English. Wow.
India is linguistic playground. You guys trying a lifetime, they're just trying to learn all the languages. And because English is so prevalent, it's a really accessible place for international students. Plus, the culture, the food, the festivals, learning a language in India is a full sensory experience. Ah,
Sensory overlays in the best way possible. Sam, if someone is trying to decide between China and India for education or language studies, what's your quick advice, Leo? Like China for and India for?
tough choice. Okay, quick and dirty advice: China if you want focused discipline, top-notch STEM education, and to dive headfirst into Mandarin language and culture. India if you want a more diverse. Maybe if you want a more chaotic, but incredibly vibrant educational experience, especially in tech, and a chance to explore a million languages and cultures at once. How's that for a soundbite?
China for serious study ninjas. India for adventurous language explorers. And for anyone wanting to dig deeper, they can always check out Jet Off AI for more detailed comparisons and resources, right?
Absolutely, Jet Off AI is your educational travel guru. They've got all the info you need to plan your study abroad adventure, whether it's to China, India, or anywhere else your academic heart desires. And hey, if you're enjoying this podcast on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's like giving us an A for effort.
For effort, we'll take it. And who knows, maybe in a future episode, we can compare the street food of Chinese and Indian university towns. Now that's a topic I'm really excited about. Ooh.
Street food showdown in university towns? Mira, you're reading my mind? That's definitely a podcast episode waiting to happen. But for now, folks, that's our take on educational opportunities in language schools in China and India. Hope you learned something, and maybe even laughed a little.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll catch you in the next episode, right here at Jet Off AI Studios. Bye for now.
Later, listeners. And remember, whether you choose China or India for your studies, pack your textbooks and your appetite. You're gonna need both.
Okay, Leo. Speaking of globetrotting, let's dive into something that hits us all no matter where we are the weather. Or as meteorologists dramatically call it, climate and seasonal conditions for China and India.
Climate and seasonal conditions. Mira, you make it sound like we're about to discuss the latest fashion trends. Is it monsoon, Shikora, Malayan hoodie season? But seriously, it's a huge topic. These two countries are massive.
I mean, think about it, Leo. China's got everything from icy tundras to tropical beaches. It's like the weather threw a dart at a map and said, yeah, I'll take all of that. Wow.
And India's no slouch either. From scorching deserts to the Himalayas, it's like Mother Nature went wild with the spice rack of climates. Whoa, you could probably experience every season just by taking a train ride across the country.
Imagine packing for that trip. You need shorts, a parka, sandals, snow boots. Your suitcase would look like it exploded in a clothing store.
More like luggage for around the world trip, Mira. You'd need a separate baggage card just for your climate-appropriate outfits. But let's talk specifics. China's got those crazy Siberian winds in the north, right?
Oh yeah, northern China in winter? Forget about it. You step outside and your eyelashes freeze instantly. It's so cold, penguins are probably sending postcards saying, wish you were here. NOT.
Penguins with tiny parkas, Mira. I love it. And then you hop over to southern China and Bian. Tropical heat and humidity. It's like stepping into a sauna, but outside.
Southern China in summer is where you go to experience what it feels like to be a dumpling steaming in a bamboo basket. Ooh, you just walk around and think, am I sweating or am I marinating?
Marinating, Mira. Brilliant. And then India, let's talk about the monsoons. It's not just rain, it's a whole atmospheric event, right?
The Indian monsoon. It's like nature's way of saying, okay, everyone, time for a countrywide shower. Wow, it's not just rain, it's like the sky opens up a giant water. A lunar just PLASH.
Splash indeed. And it's not just a little drizzle either. It's like living inside a car wash for months. People probably start growing gills just to adapt.
Imagine rush hour in Mumbai during monsoon season. It's not traffic jams. It's queues. It's the queues. Oh. And then, after the monsoon, you get the scorching Indian summer.
Oh, the Indian summer, where the sun doesn't just shine, it glares. It's so hot, you can fry an egg on the sidewalk and then bake a cake on the hood of your car.
Cake on the hood of a car. Now, that's multitasking. But seriously, the heat waves in parts of India can be brutal. People have to get really creative to stay cool, right?
Creative is an understatement, Mira. They've got ancient techniques, like using mud to insulate houses, and modern tricks, like inventing fans that run on solar power. Necessity is the mother of invention, especially when Mother Nature is turning up the thermostat.
And what about extreme weather? Both countries have dramatic moments, sadly. Typhoons in China, cyclones in India, it's like nature's blockbuster action movies.
Nature's action movies, starring wind and water, and sometimes starring earthquakes too, sadly. Both regions are prone to seismic activity, reminding us that the Earth likes to shake things up now and then.
But it's also amazing how people adapt, isn't it? Like, in flood-prone areas, they build houses on stilts. It's like saying to the floodwaters, nice try, but we've got higher ground. Wow.
Human resilience is incredible. From terraced farming in the mountains to drought-resistant crops in arid regions, people find ways to live in harmony, or at least a truce, with their climate.
And that's what makes these climate differences so fascinating, right? It's not just about temperature and rain, it's about how it shapes cultures, lifestyles, even what people eat. Ooh.
Totally! You can tell so much about a place just by looking at how they dress, what their houses are like, and what kind of festivals they celebrate. Climate isn't just background noise, it's the lead actor in the play of life. Aha!
So, if you're planning a trip, check the weather forecast, maybe pack for all 4 seasons in one go. And definitely prepare for some climate adventures.
Climate adventures it is, Mira. And maybe bring a sense of humor, because when it comes to weather, you just never know what Mother Nature's going to throw at you next.
True that, Leo. Maybe we should invent a weatherproof podcast studio next. For now, though, let's move on to our next topic. Our next stop on this delicious journey is food, culture, and nutritional alternatives in China and India. Ooh, get ready for a flavor explosion, folks.
Flavor explosion. More like a digestion detonation if you're not careful with some of those street food stalls.
Oh, Leah, you're always so dramatic. But seriously, both China and India are like ancient food kingdoms, right? They've been cooking up a storm for millennia. Wow.
Millennia is right. Probably longer than some of our listeners have been alive. Or even their grandparents. Please think about it, Mira. While Europe was still figuring out forks, these guys were perfecting noodles and spices.
And China with its 8 major cuisines. 8. It's like a culinary octomom. From spicy Sichuan to delicate Cantonese, there's a flavor profile for every mood swing.
An octomom of cuisines, I love it. And India, not to be outdone, has regional cuisines that are practically different countries unto themselves. You could spend a lifetime just eating your way through India. And probably gain a lifetime of weight too, let's be honest.
Weight gain? Minor detail. Think of the samosas, Leo. The biryani. The butter chicken. Oh, my stomach is rumbling just thinking about it.
Butter chicken. The gateway drug to Indian food addiction. It's so rich, it's practically edible gold. But then you try to navigate a menu in Hindi and suddenly it feels less golden, more like a confusing puzzle. Huh.
Puzzles are fun, Leo. Think of it as a culinary escape room. And in China, it's all about balance, isn't it? Yin and yang in your stir-fry.
Yin and yi and yay. BNSG. Let's not forget the magic dust of flavor enhancement. But you're right, balance is key. Though sometimes I think balancing a mountain of noodles on your chopsticks.
That's an Olympic sport waiting to happen. Wow. And India is all about spices. It's like they took the entire spice rack and said, let's use it ALO.
And they succeeded. Sometimes I feel like my taste buds are doing the tango after a good Indian meal. A very spicy tango. Ouch. But a tango nonetheless.
A spicy tango? I love it. And what about nutritional alternatives? Both countries are veggie heaven, right?
Veggie heaven and meat lover paradises, depending where you look. India, of course, has a massive vegetarian population. Lentils, chickpeas, veggies galore. You could live a long and happy life eating only Indian vegetarian food.
Long and happy and full of fiber. Think of the dolls. So many dolls. It's like a lentil rainbow. Boom.
I lentil rainbow. Okay, Mira. You're remaking even lentils sound exciting. That's talent, but China also has incredible veggie options. Tofu in a million forms, stir-fried greens, veggie dumplings.
Dumplings, little pockets of joy. Ooh, and they're steamed, boiled, fried. Dumpling versatility is an art form.
A greasy, delicious art form. But when it comes to innovative food solutions, both countries are dealing with massive populations. Food security is a big deal.
Big deal indeed. And they are both powerhouses of agricultural innovation, right? Constantly developing new ways to feed billions. Wow.
So, I think that we can counter that. Absolutely. From vertical farming in China to ancient Indian agricultural techniques getting a modern revival, they're both pushing boundaries. Though sometimes I wonder if innovative food solutions just means more efficient ways that set your mouth on fire.
Chili's in life, Leo. But seriously, thinking about the sheer scale of food production in both countries is mindel-bowing. It's a constant balancing act between tradition and innovation.
A balancing act on a tightrope made of noodles, perhaps, and seasoned with a generous pinch of chili powder, just to keep things interesting.
And speaking of interesting, have you ever tried woe? Wait, we're out of time again? Already? This food talk is making me hungry. Our current topic, we compare the historical, cultural, and artistic values of two countries. From ancient landmarks to thriving art scenes and deep-rooted traditions, we are about to dive into a real treasure chest of human creativity. Wow.
Treasure chest, huh? More like a historical bazaar, Mira. Imagine trying to haggle for a good deal on a piece of the Great Wall or negotiating the price of a Taj Mahal. But seriously, folks, buckle up because we're about to time travel and culture hop between China and India.
Hi. Time traveling bazaar. I love it, Leo. And speaking of time travel, both China and India boast civilizations that are, like, seriously ancient. We're talking dynasties that make European history look like yesterday's news. Ooh.
Yesterday's news? More like 5 minutes ago? China's got dynasties coming out of its ears, Mira. The Shang, the Zhou, the Qin sounds like a roll call for a very exclusive club of emperors. In India, the Indus Valley civilization was chilling out before the pyramids were even a pharaoh's eye.
And the art they produced back then, mindel-bowing. Think about the Terrataka army in China. Thousands of life-size soldiers guarding an emperor in the afterlife. That's dedication. Well,
Dedication, or maybe just really, really afraid of being lonely in the afterlife. But you're right, that Terrataka army is something else. And India's got its own artistic heavy hitters, like the intricate carvings in the Ayantana and Ellora caves. Imagine the patience.
patience is an understatement, Leo. It's like they had all the time in the world and decided to spend it creating masterpieces. And the Silk Road. Both China and India were right in the middle of that cultural superhighway, exchanging ideas, goods, and who knows, maybe even jokes?
Jokes on the Silk Road? Probably really bad ones, Mira. Like, why did the chicken cross the Taklamakan Desert to get to the other oasis? But yeah, the Silk Road was a massive cultural blender. China gave the world silk paper, gunpowder. India gave us spices, Yoga. Pretty good trade deal if you ask me.
Such a small number, but such a big deal. Imagine trying to do math with that, Shiro. Your head would explode. Whoa! And the philosophical traditions? Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism, These aren't just religions. They're entire worldviews that have shaped billions of lives.
Worldviews that are sometimes completely baffling to us modern folks. Like trying to understand reincarnation after a triple espresso. But yeah, these philosophies are deeply embedded in both cultures. You can see it in their art, their literature, even their daily interactions.
And let's talk about architecture. The Forbidden City in Beijing, the Taj Mahal in Agra. These are iconic landmarks that scream culture louder than a Bollywood musical number. Ooh.
Bollywood musical number. Now you're talking my language. Both buildings are breathtaking. The sheer scale of the Forbidden City, the perfect symmetry of the Taj Mahal there, not just buildings, they're statements. We were here, and we were awesome.
We were here, and we had really good architects. And let's not forget the performing arts. Chinese opera with its elaborate costumes and acrobatic moves, Indian classical dance with its intricate hand gestures and storytelling. It's like watching living, breathing art. Wow.
Living, breathing, and sometimes very, very long. But worth it. Mira, totally worth it. The precision, the emotion, the history baked into every performance. And the music, from the delicate sounds of a guzheng to the rhythmic beats of a tabla. It's also captivating.
Captivating is the perfect word, Leo. It's like both countries have been on a centuries-long cultural jam session, each adding their own unique instruments and melodies to the mix. And it's still going strong today. Ooh.
Still jamming, still innovating. From contemporary art galleries in Shanghai, Mumbai to indie music scenes and street art festivals, both China and India are constantly reinventing their cultural landscapes. It's not just about the now and the future.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, don't watch what we can do today, but watch what we can do today. And if you want to experience this cultural richness firsthand, you just have to visit. Wander through the temples, taste the street food, get lost in a bustling market. It's an adventure for all your senses.
Lost in a bustling market, probably haggling for a knockoff watch that breaks in 5 minutes. But hey, that's part of the experience, right? And that's what makes the historical, cultural, and artistic values of China incredibly vibrant and alive. It's not just in museums, it's everywhere you look.
Everywhere you look, and everywhere you listen, and everywhere you taste. It's a full-on cultural immersion. Leo, and if you're not careful, you might just end up wanting to learn Mandarin or Hindi, or maybe even both. Whoa.
Both? Mira, you're ambitious. Maybe I'll stick to just appreciating the amazing art and history and leave the language learning to the super brains among us. But yeah, China and India, folks' historical, cultural, and artistic double whammy that's definitely worth exploring.
Oh, Pekila, nature lovers. We're about to dive into a landscape showdown between two giants, China and India. Prepare for some serious scenic overload. Ugh.
Scenic overload? Mira, you're already overloading my brain with enthusiasm before we even start. But, alright landscapes, China and India. Let's see if we can make this visually stimulating for our podcast listeners.
Stimulating is my middle name. Oh, okay, not Ray. It's actually never mind. But seriously, China, right? You think China? You think Great Wall, maybe pandas. But oh honey, it says so much more. Think towering mountains like Himalayan levels of towering, but also these crazy colorful lakes and bamboo forests that look like they're straight out of a kung fu movie.
Kung fu movie landscapes. I like where you're going with this, Mira. Though, pandas are pretty visually stimulating themselves in a cuddly, bamboo-munching kind of way. But, yeah, China's got scale. Everything's big. Mountains tall, rivers longer, deserts. Sandy are. Is that a word? Anyway, you can get lost in China's landscapes. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, you are killing me. But you're right, scale is the word. And then you flip over to India, and it's like BAM. Color explosion. Think of the Himalayas again. Think of the Himalayas again. Because both countries are hogging those beauties, but then you get to places like Kerala with these lush backwaters, or Rajasthan with the Thar Desert shimmering like gold. It's like nature through a massive, vibrant party and inviting everyone.
A vibrant party thrown by nature. I'm picturing nature in a sequin dress now. Thanks, Mira. Thanks, Mira. India's got the spice rack of landscapes, doesn't it? You go from snow-capped peaks to tropical beaches in what feels like a hop and a skip. Plus, you've got jungles, tea plantations that look like green velvet carpets, and deserts where you can ride a camel and pretend you're Lawrence of Arabia. Mine is the whole war thing.
That's going into my next stand-up. Leo. And camels. Oh, Indian camels. Oh, Indian camels. Oh, Indian camels. Oh, Indian camels. Beyond the desert selfie, right? But beyond the desert drama, India's got these incredible biodiversity hotspots. Like the Western Ghats. It's like a treasure chest of unique plants and animals. It's nature's secret stash of amazingness. Wow!
Nature's secret stash of amazingness. I'm starting to think we need to trademark some of these phrases, Mira. We could sell them on Jedi. But you're right. India's got the eco-diversity dialed up to 11. And China, while maybe not as famous for jungles, has these incredible karst landscapes in places like Guilin. Those pointy hills and winding rivers look like they've been painted onto a scroll, all misty and mysterious.
Nature's secret stash of amazing nesters, coming soon. But yes, China's karst landscapes. Talk about otherworldly. It's like you've stepped into a classical Chinese painting. And let's not forget the Yellow Mountains, Huangshan. Those granite peaks poking through the clouds. Iconic. You can practically hear the epic music swelling as you look at them. Wow.
Epic music swelling mountains. Are you sure you weren't a film composer in a past life, Mira? Huangshan is definitely postcard material. Mira? And India can play the mountain card too. Think about the Himalayas in the north, but also the Eastern Ghats, which are older and more weathered, but still stunning in their own way. And then you've got the Nilgiri Hills in the south, all rolling in green and tea-scented.
Tea-scented mountains. I'm packing my bags. But you know, when you think of water, China's got the Yangtze River, right? Massive, mighty, and crucial. But India's got the Ganges. And while the Yangtze might be all about power, the Ganges is spiritual. It's like the lifeblood of a whole culture. And you can feel it just being near it. It's more than just a river, it's an experience.
Spiritual rivers versus powerful rivers. Are we getting philosophical now, Mira? I get what you mean. The Ganges is definitely more than just H2O. It's got history and mythology, and a whole lot of fate swirling around it. But China's got lakes too, like massive turquoise lakes up in Tibet, or the West Lake in Hanghouse, which is all willow trees and pagodas and romantic boat rides. Very different vibes.
Now you're speaking my language, Leo. But seriously, both countries are just ridiculously blessed in the nature department. China has those vast grasslands in Inner Mongolia, perfect for galloping around on horseback and feeling like a nomadic warrior. And India has well. Try topping that for sheer majestic animal encounters. Wow.
Elephants are pretty tough to beat on the majestic scale, you'll give you that. Though, China has snow leopards prowling around in the mountains. Snow leopards? Talk about elusive and cool. But grasslands? Yeah, Inner Mongolia is vast. But India's got the Sundarbans, the world's largest mangrove forest, teeming with tigers and crocodiles. That's pretty unique landscape right there.
Tigers and crocodiles in mangrove forests. Okay, point to India on the exotic wildlife front. But China has these amazing rice terraces, especially in Yunnan. Terrace fields climbing up mountainsides, looking like giant green staircases to heaven. It's like but edible art.
Edible art. I'm hungry now, Mira. Rice terraces are stunning, no doubt. But India has the Valley of Flowers and Uttarakhand. Imagine a whole valley carpeted in wildflowers, every color imaginable. It's like nature threw up a rainbow in a good way. Oh, and you can trek through it and feel like you're in a fairy tale.
A rainbow explosion valley. Okay, India, you're making it tough to choose here. But honestly, both China and India are just mental bowing when it comes to natural beauty. Whether you want epic mountains, serene coastlines, crazy jungles, or shimmering deserts, they've got it all in spades. You just gotta decide what kind of landscape adventure you're in the mood for. And maybe pack the suitcases, because why choose just one?
His suitcases for landscapes. Mira, you're taking the scenic overload thing to a whole new level. But I agree. Trying to pick a better landscape country between China and India is like trying to star in the sky. They're both just dazzling in their own right. So maybe the real question isn't which is better. But which one are we visiting first? Perhaps Jedalfair can help us decide.
Our current topic, we compare sports, activity, and adventure options into countries. From celebrated national sports to daring outdoor pursuits and active lifestyles. We dive in? Oh!
Alright, sports and adventures in China versus India, huh? Sounds like we're about to compare kung fu flicks with Bollywood action scenes. Let's see if reality lives up to the cinematic hype. Huh?
Think about it, Leo. China has kung fu, right? I mean, who hasn't tried to do a karate kick after watching a movie? I definitely have, usually ending with me tripping over my own feet. But seriously, martial arts are HUGE in China, right? Wow.
Oh yeah, Mira. China and martial arts are like coffee and me, inseparable. You can't swing a cat in China without hitting a kung fu school. And let's be honest, some of those moves look seriously impressive until I try them and just pull a muscle reaching for the TV remote. Ouch!
Tell me about it. I tried Tai Chi once in a park, and I think I almost put my back out just trying to still gracefully. It looked so peaceful and then BAM. Suddenly you're supposed to be a willow tree in a hurricane. Whoa! But it's so popular in China, right? Like everyone is doing it in the parks in the morning.
Yeah, Tai Chi in Chinese parts is like pigeons in a European square everywhere and seemingly doing their own thing with Zen-like focus. It's pretty cool to watch. Though I'm pretty sure my tents look more like a confused scarecrow fighting off invisible bees.
Invisible bees. Perfect. Okay. But then India has cricket, which is like a national obsession, right? I still don't fully understand all the rules, but the passion is contagious. I've seen people glue just like it's the most important thing in the world. Wow.
Cricket in India? It's not just a sport, Mira, it's practically a religion. If cricket was a beverage, India would be mainlining it 24/7 fest, th. I once tried to watch a full match, and I think I aged about 5 years trying to keep up with the overs and wickets and whatever else is going on. But the energy in the stadiums, electric.
And then think about adventure. China has the Himalayas, right? Mount Everest is practically next door. Imagine hiking and mountain climbing. It'd probably just take pictures from base camp, but still. Wow! The views must be incredible.
Oh, the Himalayas in China breathtaking. Though, my idea of a mountain adventure is usually more scenic cable car ride than scaling a deadly peak. But yeah, for serious adventurers, China's got some epic mountains. Just maybe pack extra oxygen into really Goodwill.
Goodwill is essential. And India as well. Also the Himalayas. But also jungles, deserts. Beaches India is like a giant adventure buffet. You can go from snow-capped mountains to tropical beaches in the same country. How amazing is that?
India's got the geographical range, that's for sure. From the beaches of Goa to the deserts of Rajasthan. It's like Mother Nature went wild with the terrain options. Whoa! Though, Adventure Buffet makes it sound like I can just grab a plate and sample everything. Maybe I should check if they have all-inclusive adventure packages.
Adventure packages. I love it. Imagine, all-inclusive Himalayan trip. Guaranteed Yeti sighting or your money back. But seriously, both countries are amazing for outdoor activities. China has the Great Wall for super historical hype, right? Imagine walking on that thing. Well,
The Great Wall hike, yeah, if you like crowds, stairs, and feeling like Cure on a human conveyor belt. It's fantastic. Okay, kidding aside, it's an incredible piece of history. and walking a section is definitely a unique experience. Just maybe go in the off-season unless you enjoy selfie stick jousting.
Selfie stick jousting. Oh, Leo, you have a way with words. And India as well. Yoga retreats in the Himalayas. Imagine doing yoga with a view of those mountains. Talk about finding your inner peace, or just getting really cold. But still sounds amazing.
Yoga retreats in the Himalayas sound serene and probably freezing. I'm more of a yoga in a heated studio followed by a large pizza kind of guy. But yeah, India is definitely the yoga and wellness capital. If you can't find inner peace there, maybe you're just beyond help.
Beyond help. My gosh, Leah. Okay, but what about water sports? China has coastlines, right? Beaches. Are people surfing in China? I'm picturing kung fu surfers now.
Kung Fu's of that's no, that's a movie I'd watch. China's got coastlines, yeah, but maybe not quite the surfing culture of, say, California or Australia. More fishing villages and ports than Bondi Beach. No, I'm sure there are some hidden surf spots if you know where to look. Maybe we should start a secret Chinese surf spot travel blog.
Secret Chinese surf spots. We're onto something, Leo. And India has Goa. Hello beaches, hello surfing, hello sunshine. I can practically feel the sand between my toes just thinking about it. Imagine beach yoga, Indy surf, and double zen.
Go. Yeah, that's India's beach party central. Sun, sand, surf, well, let's just say the nightlife is also quite active. If you're looking for a beach vacation in India, Goa is definitely the place to be. Just maybe pack extra sunscreen and maybe some earplugs for those all-night beach parties.
Earplugs and sunscreen travel essentials. Okay, so for sports and adventure, there's China and India are totally packed with options. From martial arts and cricket to mountains and beaches, there's something for everyone. It just depends if you want kung fu cool or Bollywood bold.
Kung Fu cool versus Bollywood bold, I like that, Mira. Sums it up nicely. So, whether you're afters and mountain retreats or action-packed cricket matches, both China and India have got you covered. Just pack your bags and maybe a sense of humor for the inevitable travel mishaps. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more country comparisons.
And tell us in the comments, are you team kung fu cool China or Bollywood bold India for sports and adventure? We are dying to know. Oh, and for more details on planning your adventure, check out Jet Off AI. They can probably help you find those secret surf spots in China, Leo.
Secret surf spots and maybe even all-inclusive Yeti treks. Jet Off A, you're on! And Mira, maybe they can find me a yoga retreat to delivery. Just putting it out there. Until next time, folks.
Let's dim the studio lights and talk about something that sparkles even brighter nightlife. We're diving into China and India to see which one throws a better after-dark party.
Nightlife, Mira. Does this involve staying up past my bedtime? If so, someone better have a coffee I've rip ready. But seriously, let's see if these two can keep up with the nocturnal creatures, shall we?
Think bustling cities, neon lights, maybe even some street food adventures after midnight. In China, you've got megacities like Shanghai and Beijing, right? I'm picturing skyscrapers glittering and clubs thumping with electronic music. Wow.
Thumping is right. Shanghai, especially, is like the Las Vegas of the East, but with dumplings instead of Elvis impersonators. You've got these swanky clubs that could rival anything in Europe or the US, playing all the latest global beats. It's definitely a scene for the trendy crowd.
I love it. And what about the more traditional side of Chinese nightlife? Are there still those amazing tea houses or peeking opera shows you can catch in the evening? Ooh.
Totally. If you want something a bit more cultured than just fist-pumping the techno, Beijing's got you covered. Peking opera is still a big deal, and you can find some incredible performances. And yeah, tea houses are still around, though though maybe not as wild as a rave. Unless they're serving some seriously strong tea.
Strong tea raves. Now that's an idea. Okay, let's hop over to India. Bollywood nights must be a thing, right? I'm imagining vibrant colors and everyone dancing like they're in a movie scene.
Bollywood nights? Oh, they're definitely a thing, Mira. Especially in Mumbai, the city that never sleeps, and probably never stops dancing either. You'll find clubs blasting Bollywood hits. And yeah, people really do dance like they're auditioning for the next big film. It's infectious energy, I tell you.
Infectious energy is my kind of party. But India's also got this super rich history, right? Are there traditional dance or music performances you can see at night too? Ah,
So, think classical Indian dance performances, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, stuff that's been around for centuries. You can find these in cultural centers or sometimes even in fancy hotels. It's a completely different vibe from Bollywood, much more refined and, dare I say, spiritual.
that's a new one. So, China's got the futuristic, electric club scene and the refined opera, and India's got Bollywood and ancient dance forms. It sounds like they're pretty diverse.
Diversity is the keyword, Mira. In China, you'll also find Katie verses everywhere, karaoke boxes where you can belt out your favorite tunes, maybe after a few too many Baiyu shots.
Karaoke after Baiyu shots. Sounds like a recipe for YouTube Gold. We should definitely film an episode trying that out, Leo. Imagine the views on Jet Off AI.
Karaoke and Bayou, my vocal cords and liver are trembling just thinking about it. But for the sake of content, maybe. And in India, you've got these amazing street food scenes that really come alive at night. Imagine grabbing some spicy shot after a night of dancing. Ooh.
Street food after dancing. Yes, that's the perfect end to a night out. So, if someone's planning a trip and wants amazing nightlife, which one would you nudge them towards, Leo? China or India?
Depends on what kind of night, how they are, Mira. If they want sleek, modern clubs and to taste of futuristic city vibes, China's got it. If they want vibrant, colorful, and maybe a bit more chaotic fun, India's the place. They'll both guarantee you won't get bored after sunset.
I'm leaning towards India already, but Shanghai's dumpling Vegas sounds pretty tempting too. Maybe we need to do a double episode, Leo. One for Chinese nightlife, one for Indian. Wow.
A double dose of nightlife? My coffee budget is already crying. But hey, for our listeners and for Gen Off AI, we might just have to sacrifice our sleep schedules.
Sacrifice for content. That's our motto. And hey, maybe we leave and discover some new dance moves or karaoke classics along the way. Who knows? Oh.
Dance moves and karaoke, just promise me you won't post any videos of my singing online, Mira. The internet can be a cruel place.
No promises, Leo. Unless you're really, really bad, then it's definitely going on YouTube. But seriously, folks, if you're curious about more travel tips and maybe even some you-fueled karaoke footage, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI.
Fueled karaoke, I'm starting to regret suggesting that. But yes, Gen Off AI is the place to go for all your travel inspiration. And maybe some cautionary tales about questionable nightlife choices.
Questionable choices make for the best stories, Leo. And that's what nightlife and this podcast are all about, right? Creating some fun, memorable, maybe slightly embarrassing stories. Alright, Leo. Let's talk about something super fun and heartwarming. Family-friendly environments and children's activities in China and India. Ooh, imagine all the giggles and happy little faces.
Save that wicked car for that. Family-friendly, you say? Well, Mira, last time I tried to be family-friendly, I ended up wearing a lampshade at a kid's birthday party. But China and India, from what I've seen, they're certainly full of families, that's for sure.
Oh, Leo, you and your lampshade stories. But seriously, think about it. Both countries have such rich cultures, just bursting with things for kids to experience. Like in China, there's amazing parks. Imagine running around the Temple of Heaven Park in Beijing. Wow.
Temple of Heaven Park. Sounds serene. Though, picture trying to keep a toddler from accidentally offering a snack to the ancient altar. Oops. India, on the other hand, you've got places like Lodi Garden in Delhi. Lovely, but also prime territory for chasing monkeys. Whoa. Parenting level expert mode engaged.
Kids. Kids would love that. It's like a real-life jungle adventure in the middle of the city. And think of the stories they'd tell. Plus, China's got those incredible museums, like the Shanghai Science and Technology Museum. Interactive exhibits for days. Aha!
Interactive exhibits, yes. Perfect for when your kid decides to interact a little too enthusiastically with a priceless artifact. Ouch! India's got some great museums too, like the Nehru Science Center in Mumbai. Plenty of buttons to press, I'm guessing. Just gotta make sure they press the right buttons.
Buttons are key. But it's not just museums, Liam. Think of the performances. Chinese acrobats. Indian Catholic dances. So much color and movement to captivate little eyes. Ooh. Imagine their faces lighting up.
So I think that we can cover that. Faces lighting up. Hopefully not from the sheer volume of the drums during some of those performances. But yeah, the cultural shows are something else. No, maybe pack some earplugs just in case. For the parents, I mean.
Good tip, Leo. But seriously, think about the food. Dumplings in China, dosai in India. Kids love finger food, and both countries alike challenge accepted. Oh!
Food, yes. Dumplings are practically edible toys. Hey, dosai. Well, that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner entertainment right there. Just try to keep the sambar off the nice clothes. Oops! It's a culinary adventure to laundry challenge all in one.
Laundry challenge accepted again. It's all part of the fun, right? And both countries had zoos and aquariums. Giant pandas in China. Bengal tigers in India. Imagine seeing those majestic creatures up close. Wow. Wow.
Majestic creatures. And the cues to see them. Zoos are great, but maybe bring snacks. For the kids, and for the parents waiting in line. And maybe a map, because some of these places are HUG.
Maps and snacks. Essential parenting travel gear. But beyond the attractions, I think both cultures are really family-oriented, aren't they? Like families are super important in both China and India. Aha!
Family-oriented, yes. Extended families, even. Yeah. You won't find many kids feeling lonely in either place, that's for sure. Whoa, though, sometimes too much family togetherness can be intense. But hey, built-in babysitters, right?
Exactly. Instant support system. And think about festivals. Chinese New Year. Diwali in India. Celebrations everywhere. With lights and colors and yummy treats. Ooh.
Fireworks. Sweets. Chaos. Perfect for kids. And maybe slightly terrifying for introverted parents. But yeah, the festive atmosphere is undeniable. Just maybe keep a tight grip on little hands in those crowds. Well,
Tight grip essential. But it's all about creating memories, right, Leo? Experiences that they'll remember forever. Like saying I celebrated Diwali in India. Or I saw the pandas in China. Wow.
memories? Yes. And also, potentially, a lot of photos for your social media. Look at us, being worldly and family-oriented. But, in all seriousness, both China and India offer a ton for families. Just maybe pack extra wipes.
Extra wipes. Always a pro tip for parents. And I think, even with the crowds and the chaos, there's a warmth and vibrancy in both places that kids would just soak up. It's like adventure with a side of culture.
Adventure with a side of culture. And maybe a side of mild panic when you lose sight of your child for approximately 3.2 seconds in a market. Oops. But yeah, for adventurous families, China and India are definitely playgrounds packed with experiences. Just breathe deeply, parents.
Breathe deeply and embrace the adventure. That's the spirit. And if you capture some of those hilarious oops moments on video, don't forget to share them on YouTube. Maybe it'll go viral.
Viral parenting fails from exotic locations? Might be a new niche for Jet Off AI articles. Top 10 hilarious toddler tantrums at the Great Wall. But seriously, yeah, lots for families to do. Just maybe lower your expectations of relaxing vacations for unforgettable chaos.
Unforgettable chaos is the best kind of vacation. And who knows, maybe those chaos moments will be the funniest stories they tell when they're older. Remember that time we chased monkeys in India, Mole?
Remember that time we chased monkeys and Dad lost his wallet? Yeah, the memories will be vivid, so family-friendly, in their own wonderfully chaotic, utterly unforgettable way. Absolutely? Just approach with a sense of humor and maybe a first aid kit.
Sense of humor in the first aid kit. Perfectly summarized, Leo. And for more family travel tips, don't forget to check out Jet Off AI. They probably have articles on surviving monkey encounters and dumpling spills. Alright, Leo, buckle up, because we're diving into a topic that's all about love and acceptance. Boom! Let's chat about the LGBT-friendly atmosphere in Jammu, please. China and India. Think vibrant parades, inspiring stories, maybe even a Bollywood dance number or two.
Bollywood dance numbers for LGBT rights. Mira, you're already painting a very colorful picture. I'm picturing more like maybe a slightly awkward street performance with a kazoo and a banner in Mandarin and Hindi. Let's see if reality lives up to your Technicolor dream.
Oh, come on. Leo, you're such a cynic. But okay, let's get real for a sec. When we talk about China, it's, well, a bit of a mixed bag, right? Like a fortune cookie, you never know if you're gonna get good luck or just a vague proverb. Legally speaking, it's not exactly a rainbow coalition. Homosexuality isn't illegal anymore, which is progress. Yay. But marriage equality. Adoption rights? Those are so still kind of. In the maybe someday, if we're lucky category.
Maybe someday, if we're lucky, Mira, you're channeling my inner fortune cookie writer. Exactly. China decriminalized homosexuality back in 1997, which, in historical terms, is like yesterday. But that's about where the legal parade stops. No same-sex marriage, no anti-discrimination laws at the national level. It's like they're saying, okay, you can exist, but please, just exist quietly in the corner.
Quietly in the corner. Though, Leo, you have a way with words. And socially. It's definitely evolving, especially in bigger cities. You might find some cool LGBT spaces and events, particularly amongst younger generations. They're hip, they're with it. But traditional family values are still super strong, and public displays of affection, regardless of who you are, can raise eyebrows. It's like walking a tightrope where we see you, but maybe tone it down a notch?
Tone it down a notch, the official motto, subtle social disapproval. Yeah, social acceptance is, let's call it, a work in progress in China. You get pockets of openness, especially online and in cosmopolitan areas. But overall, it's still a pretty conservative society. Family pressure to conform is immense. Coming out can be a really big deal, and not always in a good way. Imagine trying to explain to your traditional Chinese grandma why you're bringing home a boyfriend instead of a nice doctor's daughter. Ouch.
Oh, grandma's reaction. Whoa, I can just picture the dramatic gasp and the slow head shake. But hey, let's flip the globe and zoom over to India. India, land of vibrant colors, spices, and, well, a bit of a roller coaster when it comes to LGBT rights. For a while there, things were looking kind of bleak, legally speaking. Remember Section 377? Yike!
Section 377. Ah, yes. The charmingly named British colonial law that criminalized carnal intercourse against the order of nature. Sounds like something out of a Victorian novel gone wrong. For decades, it was used to persecute LGBT people in India. Talk about a butts kill at a pride parade.
And this is a big BUT. India actually made some HUGE strides. The Supreme Court struck down Section 377 in 2018. Wow, talk about a victory dance moment. Suddenly, being gay wasn't a crime anymore. Oh, that's like going from black and white to full Bollywood Technicolor overnight.
Bollywood Technicolor. Bollywood Technicolor. You and your Technicolor, Mira. Yes, the striking down of 377 was massive. Huge win. A landmark decision. But let's not pop the champagne just yet. While it's no longer legal to be gay, India still has a long, long way to go. Marriage equality? Nope. It's like they gave LGBT folks a get out of jail free card, but didn't really roll out the welcome mat yet. No?
Welcome mat's still rolled up, huh? Love your analogies, Leah. Especially in India. It's super diverse, just like the country itself. In big cities, especially among younger, more educated folks, you'll find growing acceptance and visibility. Pride parades are getting bigger and bolder. But outside those bubbles, especially in more rural and conservative areas, homophobia, it's like two Indias existing side by side, waving rainbow flags. Well, not so much.
Two Indias side by side, perfectly put, Mira. You get the vibrant pride parades in Mumbai and Delhi, full of energy and defiance. And then you have the deeply entrenched social conservatism in many parts of the country. Family and community pressure is HUGE in India, probably even more so than in China. Arranged marriages are still the norm, and deviating from that path can bring serious social consequences. Imagine the family drama at an Indian wedding if you announced you were bringing your same-sex partner. Whoa! The audience would clutch their pearls.
Oh geez, clutching pearls. Oh, the drama. But you know what? Despite all the challenges, the LGBT communities in both China and in India are incredibly resilient and creative. They're finding ways to connect, to support each other, to raise awareness. Online spaces are buzzing, underground scenes are thriving, and slowly ever so thriving.
Progress, yes, in its own glacial pace. But you're right, Mira. Resilience is key. And humor too, probably. Because if you can't laugh at the absurdity of it all sometimes, you probably just cry. So, for all LGBT folks in China and India, it's definitely not a walk in a rainbow-paved park. More like a determined hike up a very steep, occasionally thorny, but hopefully rewarding mountain.
A rewarding mountain hike. I love that, Leah. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day we'll be doing a podcast episode about legal same-sex marriage in China and India. And we can both wear rainbow-colored outfits and celebrate with maybe not a Bollywood dance-off, but at least some very enthusiastic clapping.
Enthusiastic clapping in rainbow outfits? Mira, you're starting to sway me. Maybe by then, the fortune cookies will actually have good news inside for LGBT rights in China and India. Until then, we keep talking, keep raising awareness, and keep observing the slow but steady climb up that mountain. Cheers to that, and to our listeners out there.
All right, Leah. Let's jump into hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners. This is always a big one when you're thinking about visiting or living somewhere new, right? It's like, will they roll out the welcome mat? Or will they look at you like you just landed from Mars?
Mars might be more welcoming depending on the day, Mira. But yeah, hospitality. It's not just about fancy hotels. It's about how people actually treat you, whether you're just popping in for a visit or planning to set up shop. So, China versus India, huh?
Let's kick off with China. From what I hear, there's a real sense of pride there. And sometimes that translates into a kind of formal politeness. Like, they might not be all huggy-kissy right off the bat, but they are incredibly helpful and respectful. Think of it as polite hospitality, maybe.
Polite hospitality, I like that. It's like they've got a hospitality algorithm running. Efficient, well-structured, might not be overly warm and fuzzy, but you won't be left stranded. In China, especially if you're in a smaller city, you might get stared at a bit, not in a mean way, more like, whoa, a real-life foreigner, whoa.
Eh? It's the rare sighting effect. But I also hear that once you break through the initial formality, Chinese people can be incredibly generous and welcoming, especially if you show genuine interest in their culture. Learn a few words of Mandarin, and suddenly you're practically family. Ooh,
Practically family who will feed you enough dumplings to sink a small boat. Yes, the food generosity is real. And if you're lost or need help with something practical, Chinese folks are usually incredibly helpful. It's the get-it-done kind of hospitality. Less about emotional connection. Less about emotional connection.
and in India, it's a whole different vibe, isn't it? Like, the hospitality there is famous for being super warm and heartfelt. It's the guest is God kind of thing. You're practically showered with kindness and attention. It's like being welcomed into a giant, colorful, and sometimes slightly chaotic family.
Chaotic is the word, Mira, but in a good way. Indian hospitality is like a full-on sensory explosion. You're offered chai the second you walk in the door, even if they just met you 5 seconds ago. And food, forget about it. You'll be eating until you can barely move, and they'll still be offering you more.
Food. It's like, have you eaten? No? Why not? Let's fix that immediately. It's hospitality with a side of deliciousness and about 10 extra sides of deliciousness. Wow. Be the wolf. People in India are so genuinely curious and interested in you. It can be really heartwarming. It's like instant connection, even with strangers.
Instant connection, yes, and sometimes instant personal space invasion, but all in good fun. In India, you're more likely to get invited home for dinner by someone you just met on the street, which is amazing, but maybe slightly overwhelming for some. In China, that's less likely to happen spontaneously. It's more structured, more planned.
So, China is like a well-organized tour guide who makes sure you see all the sights and get where you need to go. While India is like your crazy, fun uncle who just scoops you up and throws you into the middle of a party. Both are great, just in totally different ways.
Perfect analogy, Nir. And attitude towards foreigners in China. There's definitely respect, sometimes even a bit of awe, especially in less touristy areas. But also, sometimes a bit of distance, maybe due to language barriers or cultural differences, that may be a bit reserved in showing it initially.
Yeah, the language barrier in China can be a real thing. But I think that just adds to the adventure, right? Pointing, gesturing, maybe a dodgy translation if it's all part of the experience. And honestly, people are usually so patient and helpful, even if you're butchering Mandarin left and right. Oops.
Butchering Mandarin is practically a tourist attraction in itself, Mira. People might just be amused by your attempts. In India, the attitude towards foreigners is generally super positive. There's a long history of welcoming visitors and a real appreciation for different cultures. You're often seen as interesting, exotic, maybe even a bit glamorous.
I like that. Suddenly I feel like I need to pack my sparkly outfits for my next trip to India. But seriously, that welcoming attitude in India can be a huge plus, especially if you're traveling solo or feeling a bit nervous about being in a new place. It's like a big, warm hug from the whole country.
A hug that might involve a lot of questions about your marital status and income, but still a hug. But still a hug. In India, you'll get questions, lots of questions. Personal questions that might feel intrusive in some cultures, but it's just part of their way of connecting and showing interest. In China, the questions might be more about where you're from and what you think of China. A bit more general.
Good point. It's like in India, they want to know you personally, while in China, they're more curious about your perspective on China. Both valid, just different approaches. And both can be really enriching in their own way. It just depends what kind of interaction you're looking for.
Exactly. Personal connections right away, India might be your place. If you prefer a more respectful, slightly more formal, but still very helpful environment, China could be a better fit. Neither is better, just different flavors of hospitality. Like choosing between spicy curry and perfectly steamed dumplings. Both delicious, just depends on your mood.
Food and me hungry, Leo. But yeah, it really comes down to personal preference. Do you want the enthusiastic, open arms welcome, or the more reserved, but equally genuine, helpful knees? Both China and India have incredible hospitality, just expressed in their own unique, amazing ways.
And both are definitely worth experiencing. Just remember to pack your appetite for both countries and maybe a phrase book, especially for China. And for India, just pack your patience for all those friendly, but sometimes very personal questions.
Essential packing items for both China and India, I think. Well, that's hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners, kinda. But do you think, listeners, agree with our takes? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. And if you're enjoying this, maybe give that like button a little tap and subscribe so you don't miss our next country comparison adventure.
Don't be shy with that like button, folks. It fuels our coffee budget, which is crucial for keeping Mira's energy levels up and my sarcasm sharp. And for more travel insights, tips, and maybe even a few travel bloopers, check out Jetafe. They're the ones making this podcast possible, and they've got tons of great resources for planning your next trip, wherever it may be.
Jetafe is your go-to travel buddy. Big thanks to them for supporting our podcast. And thank you to all of you amazing listeners for tuning in. Until next time, happy travels, everyone. Oh.
And remember, whether you're facing polite hospitality in China or warm chaos in India, just go with the flow and enjoy the ride. It's all part of the adventure, right? Take care, everyone.
All right, Leo. Buckle up because we're diving into the digital world today. Let's talk internet infrastructure in China and India. It's like comparing to tech titans battling it out in the digital arena, right?
Tech titans battling Mira? More like tech toddlers wrestling over who gets the last gigabyte. But yeah, let's speak at the internet situation in China and India. Maybe we can finally figure out where all those cat videos are coming from.
Oh, Leo, you're such a comedian. Cat videos are a global phenomenon, my friend. But seriously, when you think about internet infrastructure, China's like, whoa, they've built this massive digital wall, both figuratively and literally, haven't they? Wow.
Digital wall, indeed. More like a digital fortress. China's internet is like that super exclusive club, impressive from the outside. But good luck getting past the velvet trope if you're not on the list. Makes you wonder what kind of digital cocktails they're serving in there.
Digital cocktails. I love it. And India, on the other hand, feels more like a bustling digital marketplace. Right? Open to almost everyone, super diverse, sometimes a bit chaotic, but full of energy and potential. Oh.
Chaotic is the word, Mira. India's internet scene is like a Mumbai street market, vibrant, crowded. You can find almost anything, but good luck getting a stable connection in the middle of the rush hour. And don't even ask about finding a parking spot for your data.
Parking spot for data. You're on fire today, Leo. But it's true, China has this super controlled, high-speed, very modern infrastructure. They've invested massively, haven't they? It's like they said, we're building the Autobahn of the internet. Wow.
Autobahn with speed limits set by the government, Mira. Don't forget the digital speed cameras every few kilometers. But yeah, you can't deny the scale. China decided to build a digital superhighway and they went all in. Oh, makes my little dial modem memories feel ancient.
Oh my goodness, Leo, you're dating yourself. But India's approach is different, isn't it? More about accessibility and affordability for everyone, even if it means things are a bit less streamlined sometimes.
Less streamlined is a polite way to put it, Mira. Let's just say in India, you might be streaming in 480p while your neighbor is still figuring out how to turn on Wi-Fi. But hey, at least they have options. Freedom to choose your internet speed, even if slower than a snail on vacation.
A snail on vacation. But think about the innovation. Leo, China's digital infrastructure has fueled these massive tech companies. Like you know all of them. They're digital powerhouses.
Digital powerhouses indeed, fueled by, shall we say, a slightly different approach to privacy and competition. But you can argue with the results. China's built a digital ecosystem that's pretty self-sufficient. Almost like a digital Terima.
A digital Terima. Okay, I'm using that in my next video. And India's digital innovation is booming too, but in a more open, maybe more organic way. Think about all the startups, the tech talent, the sheer volume of digital users. Whoa.
Organic KR. Mira. I guess India's tech scene is like a jungle wild, unpredictable but teeming with life. And they are catching up fast, especially in mobile connectivity. Everyone in India has a smartphone now, even if it's just to watch Bollywood dance videos on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, are we going to mention our channel and ask people to like and subscribe?
Absolutely, Leo. If you're enjoying this digital deep dive, folks, head over to our YouTube channel, hit that like button and subscribe. We're exploring all these fascinating comparisons, and we'd love for you to join our community. Boom! You can find more details on all this on JetOff, your go-to resource for global insights.
Shameless plug, Mira. But true. JetOff AI is where the serious stuff lives, and our YouTube channel is where we try to make it all a bit less dry. So, back to infrastructure. China's got the fancy highways. India's got the, well, let's call them scenic routes.
I like that. It's about the journey, right? And in India, the digital journey is definitely an adventure. But it's amazing how much they've achieved with what they have. It's like digital Jugaad making it work, no matter what.
Digital Jugaad, you nailed it, Mira. India's internet is held together with digital duct tape and sheer willpower, but somehow it works. And it's incredibly resilient. Power outage? No problem. Everyone switches to mobile data and keeps scrolling.
Resilient and resourceful. That's India. And China, with its incredible infrastructure, is pushing the boundaries of digital innovation, even with the controls. They're showing the world what's possible when you invest massively in tech. Wow.
Showing what's possible when you have the government backing and less concern for things like open internet and freedom of information. But hey, let's not get too political. We're just here for the laughs, right? And maybe a little bit of insight, thanks to JetOff AI.
Yay. A little bit of insight, a lot of laughs, and maybe a newfound appreciation for our own internet connections, wherever we are. It's all about connecting, right? Even if it's sometimes a bit slow, or a bit controlled, or a bit chaotic.
Well said, Mira. From digital fortresses to digital marketplaces, China and India are definitely shaping the future of the internet. And who knows, maybe one day they'll even share a digital cocktail recipe.
A digital cocktail recipe. Now that's something I'd love to see. Maybe we can suggest that on our JetOff AI blog. Okay, Leo, what's next on our comparison adventure? Are we staying in the digital realm, or are we heading somewhere else? Alright, Leo. Speaking of spending money, let's dive into a topic that's close to everyone's heart and wallet: shopping. Today, we're tackling shopping opportunities and price-performance balance in China and India. Get ready for a retail rumble.
Retail rumble. I like that, Mira. It sounds like a cage match, but with shopping bags instead of gloves. So, China versus India shopping edition. My suitcase is already trembling with anticipation. Or maybe it's just remembering my last attempt at packing after a shopping spree.
Well, Leo, China. When I think of shopping in China, my mind immediately goes to online shopping. Wow. It's like they invented it, perfected it, and then delivered it to your doorstep by drone before you even finished thinking about buying it.
Drones delivering packages. Sounds like the future, or maybe just Tuesday in China. You're right, Mira. China's e-commerce is like a giant, hyper-efficient shopping monster. Alibaba, Taobao, Jado, it's like they have more online shops than actual shops. And the prices. Whoa. Sometimes I wonder if they're actually paying me to take the stuff.
Price performance in China is like, here's something amazing. And oh, by the way, it costs us than your morning coffee. You can get everything from the latest gadgets to clothes that look suspiciously like designer brands, all without breaking the bank. It's like shopping in a dream, or maybe a slightly chaotic, but very fun dream.
Chaotic dream. I love that description. But let's be honest, sometimes the dream quality can be a bit questionable. You order a luxury cashmere sweater and get something that feels more like it was knitted from a plastic bag. Huh? The price is unbeatable, but the performance part can be a gamble sometimes.
Oops. Okay. Points. There's more. Price. Than performance. But hey, that's part of the adventure, right? It's like a surprise gift every time you open a package. And when you do find something amazing for peanuts, it's like hitting the jackpot.
Jackpot indeed. And for electronics, China's still king, isn't it? From phones to headphones, they're churning out tech at lightning speed and prices that make you wonder how they even make a profit. It's like they're running a global tech garage sale permanently.
But it's a garage sale, that's right. With robots and lasers and well, you get the idea. But what about India, Leo? How does it compare in the shopping arena? Is it more like a bustling bazaar or high-tech hypermarket?
India's shopping scene is different. It's less about the hyper-efficient e-commerce monster and more about, well, a vibrant, chaotic, and utterly charming bazaar monster. Pink spices, silks, handicrafts, and the constant, delightful noise of haggling.
I love bazaars. It's stepping into a different world. A world of colors and smells and things you never even knew existed. Wow. Is India all about the traditional market experience then?
Not all about it, but it's a huge part of the charm. India is like a treasure chest of unique, handcrafted goods. You want textiles? India's got fat would make a rainbow jealous. Spices, you can smell India before you even land at the airport. Spices, you can smell India before you even land at the airport.
But what about the price performance in India? Is it all about getting unique things? Or can you also find those amazing deals like in China?
India is definitely value for money territory, but in a different way. It's not always about rock-bottom prices on mass-produced electronics. In India, you get incredible value for your money in terms of craftsmanship and unique artistry. You might pay a bit more than for something factory-made in China, but you're getting something with soul, something with a story.
A story. I love that. It's like buying a piece of culture, not just a thing. So, in China, it's like getting a super efficient, mass-produced, incredibly cheap thing. And in India, it's like getting a unique, handcrafted, story-filled treasure.
Treasure, exactly, Mira. And that treasure hunt experience is a big part of shopping in India. Wandering through bustling markets, discovering hidden gems, haggling for the best price. It's an adventure in itself. It's not just about buying stuff, it's about buying stuff. It's about the whole sensory experience.
Sensory experience. That sounds amazing, Leo. So, if you want to fill your house with gadgets for next to nothing, China is your playground. But if you want to fill your house with unique, beautiful, story-filled treasures and have an adventure while you're at it, then India's calling. Ooh.
Calling indeed. And let's not forget the growing e-commerce scene in India too. Flipkart, Amazon India, they're catching up fast. You can find deals online in India too. But the real magic is still in those markets, those bazaars, those streets overflowing with stuff.
Stuff. Glorious stuff. So, for price-performance balance overall, it really depends what you're after, doesn't it? China for cheap and cheerful, India for value and soul.
Soulful shopping. I like that, Mira. We should trademark that phrase. Hit off air present soulful shopping in India. Sounds like a hit YouTube series, doesn't it?
And for our listeners who want to dive deeper into either of these shopping paradises, check out Gentle off AI for more tips and tricks on navigating the markets and finding those amazing deals. And if you enjoyed our Retail Rumble, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube.
Absolutely. So I think that we can talk about that. Absolutely. Like, subscribe. And tell us in the comments, are you Team China for super deals or Team India for soulful treasures? We're dying to know. And maybe share your own shopping adventures, good and bad. We might even feature them in a future episode.
Shopping horror stories. No, that's a podcast topic. But for now, I think we've covered the price performance showdown between China and India. It's a tie, in my book. Both are amazing, just in different ways.
Agreed. It's like comparing apples and exquisitely embroidered silk scarves. Both are good, just depends what you're in the mood for. And maybe how much luggage space you have left. Oops. Alright, Mira, what's next on our global comparison shopping list? My wallet is both terrifying, Mist.
Hello, culture vultures and festival fanatics. Are you ready to dive headfirst into a kaleidoscope of celebrations? Because today, we're comparing the cultural event scene into absolutely massive and vibrant countries China and India.
Massive is right, Mira. We're talking about populations that could fill a stadium or maybe a small planet. So, naturally, their festivals are probably equally monumental. Let's see if they can out-festival each other.
Oh, I bet they can. Mia, just thinking about it makes me want to put on a sparkly outfit and dance. Let's start with China, shall we? I mean, who hasn't heard of Chinese New Year? It's like the whole country turns into a dazzling red and gold party.
Red and gold sounds like my kind of decor. But yeah, Chinese New Year, or Spring Festival as they call it, is HUG. Fireworks, dragon dances, red envelopes, it's basically an explosion of tradition. You could probably hear the fireworks from space.
I know, right? And the Lantern Festival. Imagine thousands of glowing lanterns lighting up the night sky. Wow, it's so romantic. It's like a scene from a fairy tale. I bet you could write a whole stand-up routine just about trying to navigate a crowd with a giant lantern.
Oh, trust me, Mira. I could. Navigating crowds is practically my Olympic sport. But yeah, Lantern Festival is beautiful. And then there's the Mid-Autumn Festival is beautiful. With moon cakes and family reunions, it's all very heartwarming, isn't it? Almost makes you forget about the daily grind, almost.
And speaking of heartwarming, let's hop over to India. Diwali, the Festival of Lights, is just pure magic. Oh, lamps everywhere. Fireworks galore. Sweets that are out of this world. It's like they turned up the joy dial to 11.
11? Is that even on the dial, Mira? But Diwali is definitely intense in a good way. The sheer scale of it is mind-boggling. And the sweets. My dentist weeps just thinking about it.
And then there's Holi, the Festival of Colors. Whoa. It's like someone decided to have a giant paint fight, but make it culturally significant. Imagine running around, throwing colors at everyone, laughing your head off. It sounds like pure, unadulterated fun.
Unadulterated chaos, maybe? But yes, Holi looks incredible. Though it'd probably end up accidentally swallowing some of that colored powder. Knowing my luck, I TD the spicy kind. Ouch.
But seriously, think about all the music and dance at these festivals too. In China, you have traditional opera, folk music during festivals, and in India, Bollywood dance performances, classical music concerts. Everything is so vibrant and expressive.
Expressive is an understatement. Bollywood dance alone is like an Olympic sport of facial expressions and movement. Wow. And don't forget the classical Indian music, it's so intricate and mesmerizing. Though sometimes I feel like I need a PhD to fully understand it.
Well, even without a PhD, you can still feel the energy, right? Both countries have amazing contemporary music scenes too. China with its rock and pop, India with its fusion and indie music. There are concerts happening all the time.
True. And if you're planning a trip to either of these countries, checking out their festival calendars is a must. You can experience the culture in such a vibrant and exciting way. Plus, great photo opportunities for your Instagram, right, Mira?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the YouTube videos we could make. Mira and Leo get covered in colors at Holi. Or Leo tries to eat a mooncake without making a mess. Click that like button if you want to see those folks.
Unsubscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, folks. We need your support to fund our next cultural immersion rip, which mostly involves eating delicious food and making fun of ourselves.
And if you're planning your own cultural adventure, head over to Jet Off AI. They have all sorts of amazing resources to help you plan your trip and discover even more incredible festivals and events in China and India.
Jet Off AI, your guide to not getting lost in the festival crowds, and maybe even finding the best street food stall. So yeah, when it comes to cultural events, festivals, and concerts, China and India are both absolute powerhouses. It's less about which one is better and more about which flavor of awesome you prefer.
It's like choosing between a dragon ants and a Bollywood flash mob, both are equally spectacular, just in different ways. Wow, so take your pick or better yet, experience them both. You won't regret it.
Unless you accidentally swallow that spicy holy powder, then maybe you'll regret it just a little. Ouch. But hey, even that could be a good story for our next podcast.
Always finding the humor, Leo. Well, that's it for our festival face-off. Hope you all feel a bit more culturally enriched and maybe a little bit hungry for mooncakes or Diwali sweets. Bye for now.
Later, folks. And remember, whether you're celebrating Chinese New Year or Diwali, don't forget to laugh.
Okay. Let's chat about something that can either make or break your experience in a mid-country language. For our next round, we're diving into opportunities and Ds of learning the local language in China and India. Ready to become linguistic explorers?
Linguistic explorers, Mira. Linguistic gets gladiators wrestling with tones and scripts. But yeah, language learning, crucial stuff. Let's see which country throws us fewer curveballs in the language arena.
Starting with China, because, well, Mandarin. It's like the Mount Everest of languages for many English speakers, right? Those tones, Leo. Those tones, Leo. Those tones, Leo.
Tones, Mira, are where dreams go to die. You say ma for different ways, and suddenly you've gone from mother to horse to hemp to scolding. It's linguistic roulette.
But think about the opportunities. China's economy is booming. Knowing Mandarin is like unlocking a secret level in the business world. Wow. Plus, imagine impressing people by ordering Peking duck in fluent Mandarin.
Impressing people is one thing, Mira. Actually being understood is another. You could order Peking duck and end up with pickled donkey. Whoa, but you're right, career-wise, Mandarin is a goldmine.
And China is packed with language schools, especially in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai. You can find immersion programs, intensive courses, all sorts of resources. It's like a language learning buffet.
A buffet where half the dishes are labeled in hieroglyphics. But yeah, the infrastructure is there, structure is there. Universities, private schools, tutors galore. You can practically trip over a language school in Beijing.
And don't forget the online resources, apps, websites, YouTube channels. You can learn Mandarin in your pajamas if you want. Technology to the rescue.
Pajama Mandarin. Sounds like a sitcom. But seriously, apps like Duolingo and Plico are lifesavers. And you too. Endless free lessons. And just try not to fall asleep in your pajamas, Mira.
My pajamas are very educational. And cultural immersion in China is incredible. Living there, surrounded by the language, is the best way to learn, right? Oh!
Immersion is key, like jumping into the deep end of a very tonal pool. You either sink or swim, or maybe just flail around hilariously. But yeah, total immersion. Fastest way to pick it up.
Okay, now let's hop over to India and talk about Hindi, which, compared to Mandarin, might seem a bit gentler to learn. Maybe?
Gentler is relative, Mira. Hindi's got its own charm, and by charm I mean grammar that can't tie your brain in knots. But no tones, that's a win.
No tones. Major win. Oh, and the script, Devanagari, looks so beautiful like calligraphy. Wow. Maybe a bit intimidating at first, but beautiful.
Beautiful and different. It's not Roman script, so you're starting from scratch. Imagine learning to read again, but with cur-like U's. Whoa, but it is visually appealing. I'll give you that.
But Hindi is spoken by millions. India is huge. Bollywood is massive. Learning Hindi opens up a whole universe of culture and entertainment. Ah, imagine understanding all those catchy Bollywood songs.
Bollywood songs. Yes, instant immersion via music. And you're right, massive speaker base. Plus, knowing Hindi can be a gateway to other Indo-Aryan languages too. Two for the price of one.
And India also has language schools. Universities offering Hindi programs. Maybe not as widespread as Mandarin schools in China, but still options are there.
Options are there. Perhaps a bit more scattered. You might need to hunt a little harder for dedicated Hindi schools compared to Mandarin, especially outside major cities.
But the cultural immersion in India, so vibrant, so diverse. Every corner is a language lesson, from bustling markets to spiritual retreats. Oh,
Sensory overload immersion. You'll be learning Hindi while also dodging cows and negotiating for rickshaws. Talk about multitasking. But yes, India is a full-on cultural, unlinguistic experience.
and again, online resources. Apps and websites for Hindi are up. Definitely catching up. Maybe not as many as Mandarin yet, but growing fast. The digital language learning world is expanding.
The digital world is our friend, Mira. Apps, online courses, even language exchange partners online. You can find Hindi tutors from your couch. Though couch Hindi might not prepare you for Delhi street Hindi.
True. Street Hindi might be a whole different dialect. But that's part of the adventure, right? Embracing the linguistic chaos.
Chaos is the spice of life and language learning. Just be prepared for regional variations, slang, and the occasional Hindi movie dialogue bleeding into real life. Bithi.
Which language wins in terms of opportunities and ease? It's a tough call. Mandarin for career doors, Hindi for cultural immersion, perhaps.
Career-wise, Mandarin has a definite edge globally right now. Ease-wise, neither is exactly a walk in the park. Both are challenging for English speakers, just in different ways. Aha!
Maybe it depends on your personality. If you love a structured challenge, Mandarin's tones and characters might appeal. If you're more into free-flowing, vibrant chaos, Hindi's diversity might be your jam. Oh,
Personality-based language learning. I like it, Mira. Choose your linguistic battle based on your inner spirit animal. Are you a structured panda or a chaotic monkey?
and definitely a chaotic, truth-telling monkey. So maybe Hindi for me. What about you, Leo? Panda or monkey?
Me? I'm a sarcastic sloth contemplating the absurdity of tones. But if pushed, maybe a panda. I do appreciate structure and coffee. Lots of coffee for Mandarin tones.
Chai for short chains, chai for scripts. Perfect. So, listeners, whichever linguistic mountain you choose to climb, remember to enjoy the view from the top or at least the funny falls along the way.
And if you're planning your language learning adventure to China or India, Jetofe is your starting point for all the practical travel info, visa tips, and maybe even some language survival phrases. Just saying.
Jetofei has your back. And if you enjoyed our linguistic sparring match, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us keep the podcast train chugging along.
Like and subscribe, folks. Or we'll start speaking to you in untoned Mandarin and grammatically confusing Hindi. You've been warned.
Bye for now, language adventurers. And happy learning.
Cheers, everyone. May your tones be accurate and your Hindi grammar passable.
Okay, so next up, let's chat about something super important for all our adventurous ladies out there, safety and comfort for women travelers. We're diving into China and India this time, and honestly, it's a topic that's got layers like a really good onion. You know.
Layers like an onion, Mira. More like layers like a mill-fuel pastry, delicate and potentially crumbly depending on where you step. But yeah, seriously, safety for women isn't just a bullet point on a travel checklist. It's the hold-on page. Let's see how China and India stack out, shall we?
Because let's be real, harassment statistics and cultural attitudes sound like textbook headings. But what we really want to know is, will a solo female traveler feel comfortable grabbing street food at midnight? Or are we talking pepper spray, always at the ready vibes?
Midnight street food comfort levels in India. Maybe stick to well-lit, busy areas, Mira. In China, you might be surprised they've got those late-night snack streets that are practically a national pastime and feel surprisingly safe. Though, you know, pepper spray chic is always an option. Adds a certain Jimmy says quote to any outfit.
Pepper spray chic, I love it. Maybe we should design a line of travel accessories with hidden compartments for emergency snacks and, well, you know. But seriously, when you think about cultural attitudes, India, with its rich but sometimes complicated social tapestry, can feel a bit more, how do I put it, intense. Well,
Intense is one word, Mira. A sensory overload with added societal side is another. India's got that whole spectrum from incredibly respectful and helpful folks to, well, let's just say some stares that could curdle milk. China, on the other hand, often feels more officially controlled, which, depending on your perspective, is either comforting or mildly dystopian.
dystopian comfort. That's a new travel brochure tagline right there. But I get what you mean. In China, there's maybe less of that overt street harassment vibe, but then there's also this feeling of being watched. Like, Big Brother is politely nodding at you from across the street.
Big Brother with excellent I find a surprisingly efficient QR code system. Yeah, China's got surveillance down to an art form. It might deter some petty street harassment, but it also means less spontaneous interaction, shall we say. India's chaos can be overwhelming, but it also comes with a certain vibrancy, even if that vibrancy occasionally involves unwanted attention.
Vibrancy with unwanted attention again. Tagline gold. Maybe for a travel insurance that covers awkward encounters ad? But okay. Public transport crucial for getting around. In big Indian cities, packed buses and trains, I've heard stories. Not always sunshine and roses, right? Ouch!
Sunshine and roses, more like elbows and questionable odors, Mira. Indian public transport, especially for women in crowded spaces, can be challenging. Designated women's carriages help, but they're not a magic shield. China's metros, though, are generally slick, modern, and feel much safer. Even at rush hour, that's a different kind of challenge.
Mandarin rush hour challenge accepted. Maybe. If there's coffee involved. But thinking about personal experiences, I've heard from female travelers in India who felt constantly on guard, needing to dress super conservatively, and just generally feeling hyper-visible, you know? Like, every glance is a judgment.
Hypervisible and under a microscope, yeah. That's a common story. India, while incredibly diverse, still has pockets where traditional gender roles are firmly entrenched. And that can't translate to unwanted scrutiny for women. Especially for women, China, surprisingly, can sometimes be more leave you alone unless you're causing trouble vibe. They've got their own societal pressures, but maybe less of the overt street-level hassle for female travelers.
Leave you alone unless you're causing trouble, maybe that should be China's official tourism slogan. But it's a point. And what about support systems? If something does happen, are women travelers in either country likely to find help, or are they kind of on their own? Whoa.
Support systems in China, you've got the police state efficient. If not always empathetic, reporting something might get dealt with swiftly, but maybe not with a ton of emotional warmth. India, it's more of a mixed bag. There are women's organizations and helplines, especially in bigger cities, but navigating the bureaucracy or even just finding someone can be a hurdle. It's not always straightforward.
Bureaucracy hurdles the universal travel obstacle. Right up there with lost luggage and questionable airport food. So, overall, it sounds like China might feel statistically safer in some ways, but maybe lacks that human touch and support. And in India, while potentially more dynamic in the safety department, has pockets of amazing people and organizations trying to make things better.
Dynamic is definitely one word for it, Mira. Roller coaster social interactions with varying degrees of helpfulness is another. China's safety is perhaps more engineered, like a well-maintained but slightly sterile machine. India's safety is more organic, messy, but also capable of surprising warmth and resilience. Pick your poison, or in this case, pick your level of societal comfort.
Pick your societal comfort. Perfect podcast title right there. And maybe we should just advise all women travelers to pack both pepper spray and a phrasebook for how to politely but firmly ask for help in Mandarin and Hindi. Just to be super prepared, you know? Ooh. Ooh.
Phrasebook for politely but firmly ask for help, and maybe one for where's the nearest coffee shop that opens before noon. Essential travel survival skills wherever you are. But yeah, preparation and awareness are key, and maybe just maybe a healthy dose of pepper spray should never hurt anyone.
Speaking of serious stuff like security and economy, let's dive into something that's equally important, if not more so, especially if you're thinking of settling down somewhere legal systems and individual rights. It's not exactly stand-up comedy material, but crucial for knowing how much freedom you get, right?
Mira, you make legal systems sound like a new dance craze. Tonight, folks, we're doing the statute shuffle. But yeah, you're totally right. Knowing your rights isn't just for law nerds, it's about knowing if you can, actually do things without someone knocking on your door at 3 a.m. So, China versus India on this one. Let's see if it's a Bollywood musical or a kung fu flick.
So starting with China, they've got their constitution, like most places, promising rights and freedoms, theoretically. But it's often said that the Communist Party is in charge, and the constitution, well, it's more like a suggestion box than a rule book sometimes. Freedom of speech. Freedom of assembly. Sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's a bit more controlled, wouldn't you say?
Controlled is putting it mildly, Mira. It's like saying my coffee intake is managed when really, it's a caffeine-fueled free-for-all. In China, individual rights often come with an asterisk the size of Beijing. The legal system is very much party lead, and while they've been strengthening legal frameworks, the priority is definitely social stability and party authority. Think of it like a very, very orderly classroom.
Detention doesn't sound fun, even for comedians. Ouch! Now India, on the other hand, calls itself the world's largest democracy. Well, they've got a pretty robust constitution with fundamental rights, freedom of speech, religion, all that jazz. It's even got judicial review, so courts can actually check if laws are constitutional. Sounds pretty good, right?
Sounds fantastic, Mira. Like a freedom fiesta. Oh, but there's always a but, isn't there? Isn't there? India's legal system, while democratic in principle, is... How do I put this delicately? Backlog, what both delicate rush hour. Cases can drag on for years, corruption is a known issue, and access to justice isn't always equal for everyone. It's a democracy, yes, but sometimes it feels like a democracy stuck in slow motion.
Slow motion democracy. That's a good one, Leo. So, in India, you have rights, but actually getting them enforced might be a marathon, not a sprint. And in China, you have rights, but they might be more like privileges granted by the government. Is that a fair way to put it?
Fair enough, Mira. It's like comparing a super efficient train system in China that takes you exactly where it wants you to go, that takes you exactly where, versus an Indian system that's more like a chaotic but ultimately functional bus network. The Indian bus might take forever and be bumpy, but at least you theoretically have a say where you ought to yell at the driver. You can definitely yell at the driver, which I'm guessing isn't advised on the Chinese train.
Yelling at the driver is definitely a universal right, or at least it feels like one sometimes. But seriously, for everyday life, what does this mean? Like, if you're business owner, or just a regular person trying to live versus India? How does this legal stuff actually impact you?
Well, in China, the legal system is very focused on commercial law and contracts, which can be efficient for business, as long as you're playing by the party's rules. Individual rights in business contexts are still secondary to state interests. For the average person, it means things like internet freedom are heavily restricted, surveillance is widespread, and expressing dissent is living in a really well-organized apartment complex. But the building manager has cameras everywhere and sets very strict rules.
Cameras everywhere sounds like a reality show waiting to happen, but maybe not a fun one. Whoa, an India. It sounds like it's more messy, but maybe also more forgiving in a way. Like you can probably get away with more. But also things are less predictable.
Exactly, Mira. India is definitely more forgiving in terms of individual freedoms. You can criticize the government loudly, even. You have a free press and a relatively independent judiciary, at least on paper. But the messiness comes in with enforcement. Laws exist, but they aren't always applied consistently or fairly. Corruption, social inequalities, and bureaucratic hurdles can make it tough for the average person. It's like living in a vibrant, bustling marketplace, lots of freedom, lots of noise, and you might get pickpocketed or tripped up sometimes.
That's a sad thought. Ash, so if someone is watching us on YouTube right now and thinking about moving to either China or India, what's your comedian's takeaway on legal rights? Should they pack a lawyer in their suitcase for both places?
So I think that we can talk in a... Mira, a lawyer in your suitcase now, that's travel insurance. Seriously though, for China, understand it's a system prioritizing collective good and party control over individual expression. Great for order, maybe less great if you value outspokenness. For India, expect a democratic system with all its glorious chaos and imperfections. You have more freedoms, but accessing and enforcing them can be a challenge. It really depends on what you prioritize, order and efficiency, or freedom and well-organized chaos.
Organized chaos? I like that. Maybe we should trademark that, Leo. Organized Chaos Tours India edition. But yeah, it sounds like both countries offer very different flavors of legal reality. As always, do your homework, folks, and maybe watch some YouTube videos about daily life. And for more serious insights, Jeddah Faye. She's your friend.
Absolutely, Mira. Jet off Faye for the serious stuff, our podcast for the slightly less serious, but hopefully still insightful comedic breakdown. And hey, if you do move to either country and end up in a legal pickle, at least you'll have a funny story for us next time. Just try not to end up in detention. Mira, that's my job to make jokes, not yours to become the joke.
Leo. Dear Leo, dear leave of detention to you. And to all listeners, if you've had any, shall we say, legal adventures in China or India, share them in the comments. Of course, keep it light. We don't want any real legal trouble for anyone watching on YouTube. Okay, what's next on our list? Maybe someday hungry after all this serious legal talk. Oh, our current topic, we compare spa, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities into countries. And luxurious spas to holistic wellness practices in CU.
So, realization. Something I desperately need after dealing with your coffee spills, Mira. So, China versus India in the Chill Out Olympics. Let's see which country can actually make us. Let's see which country can actually setting off fireworks. I'm looking at you, India.
Hi. My coffee spills are just my way of adding some excitement to life. But relaxation, yes. Think about China, Leo. Imagine those serene tea ceremonies. The gentle art of Taikai in misty parks. Doesn't that just sound like instant zen? Even before you book a spa.
Sounds lovely until you realize you're sitting cross-legged for an hour and your legs are screaming for mercy. And your legs are screaming for mercy. And Taikai graceful, yes. But try doing it after a heavy dumpling lunch. You'll be more tie-dye than Taikai. But I admit, China has spas that look like they belong in a James Bond movie villain's lair.
Controlled relaxation. Leah, you make it sound like they're going to measure your stress levels with scientific instruments before letting you in the jacuzzi. But seriously, those Chinese spas are incredible. Think silk robes, jade rose, and massages that feel like tiny angels are kneading away all your worries. Wow.
Jade rollers? Sounds fancy. I prefer my relaxation to involve less mineralogy. Give me a good, strong anti-derrick massage in India any day. They practically rearrange your skeleton while you're lying there. You walk out feeling like you've been rebuilt from the ground up, maybe with a slightly different spinal alignment. Ouch, but in a good way.
Sounds intense. I'm more of a gentle soul when it comes to spas. Think of those traditional Chinese medicine treatments, acupuncture. Cupping may look a bit intimidating with all the needles and suction cups, but people swear by them. Maybe it's like getting a tune-up for your body, like taking your car for a service, but with more pricking.
Pricking is one word for it. I've seen those cupping marks. You look like you've been attacked by a giant octopus. But hey, if it works. India, though, is the OG of holistic wellness. Yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, it's practically breathing relaxation. You can find ashrams in the Himalayas, which at least touch your toes, which for me is equally miraculous.
Now that's what I call relaxation, escaping gravity altogether. But even without defying physics, India's yoga scene is legendary. Imagine sunrise yoga on a beach in Goa, or a meditation retreat in the peaceful Kerala backwaters. Just picturing it makes me want to book a ticket right now. Oh.
Goa beaches and Kerala backwaters, very picturesque. Very Instagram-able relaxation. Very Instagram-able relaxation. But let's be real, those places can also be crowded. Finding true peace and quiet in tourist hotspots can be like finding a parking spot downtown on a Saturday. Tricky. China has its hidden gems too, though. Think of those ancient Taoists tucked away in misty mountains. Places where you can actually hear yourself think and not just the sound of selfie sticks clicking.
True, tourist crowds can be a bit unzen. Oops. But both countries offer amazing escapes, right? China has those stunning mountains and serene gardens, perfect for nature walks and finding your inner peace. And India, with its spiritual heritage, offers a deeper dive into mindfulness and meditation. It's like choosing between a patient. It's like in a bamboo forest searching journey with a guru.
A guru that sounds like a whole other level of relaxation or possibly intense self-reflection that I'm not ready for. Give me a bamboo for a steady day. Less chance of existential crises, more chance of spotting a panda. And pandas, Mira, are the ultimate symbols of relaxation. They eat bamboo, they sleep, they look perpetually unbothered. Goals, really.
Pandas as relaxation gurus. Hee. I love it, Leo. Maybe we should start a panda-inspired wellness retreat, bamboo and bliss. But seriously, both China and India offer incredible ways to unwind. Whether you're into high-end spot pampering, ancient healing traditions, or just finding peace in nature, you're pretty much spoiled for choice. Well,
Spoiled for choice, yes, but also possibly overwhelmed. Imagine trying to choose between a Tibetan singing bowl therapy in India and a traditional foot massage in China. Decisions. Maybe the real relaxation is just saying screw it and taking a nap. But for those who are actually interested in exploring these options, Janafayat probably has some handy guides, right?
absolutely. Is your relaxation guru for travel planning? You can find all sorts of info on spas, wellness retreats, and healthy living options in both China and India. Plus, you can plan your whole chill-out adventure there. It's like having a personal Zen master in your pocket, guiding you to ultimate relaxation. Oh, and if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe for amazing places.
Like and subscribe for more tips on de-stressing and maybe for Mira's next coffee spill compilation. But yeah, seriously, if you're looking to escape the daily grind, both China and India have some seriously tempting options. Just remember to pack your sense of humor and maybe some earplugs for when Mira gets to relax.
For my relaxing laughter, ouch, Leo, you wear me. But yes, pack your sense of humor, your adventurous spirit, and get ready to explore the amazing world of spa and wellness in China and India. You might just come back a brand new, super relaxed version of yourself. Ooh, and who knows, maybe we'll even see you at a panda-themed yoga retreat someday. Hello, everyone. Ready to get enlightened? Hey! Or at least, try to figure out where you might find some enlightenment if you're in China or India. Today, we're chatting about opportunities for religious and spiritual needs. Sounds serious, right? But trust me, with Leo and I, even enlightenment can be a laugh riot. Woo!
Enlightenment and laughter, Mira, that's quite the combo. Like trying to find a quiet corner in a comedy club. But seriously, folks, when you think spirituality, India probably pops into your head first, right? Land of gurus and yoga pants. But hold on, China's got some ancient wisdom brewing too, even if it's sometimes served with a side of government regulations.
India is like a spiritual buffet, isn't it? You walk down any street and you might stumble upon a temple for literally any god you can imagine, plus a few you probably can't. Wow. Hinduism is the big boss there, but they've got everything from Sikhism's golden temples to Jainism's peaceful vibes, and a whole bunch of Christian and Muslim communities sprinkled in for extra flavor. It's like a spiritual rainbow.
A spiritual rainbow. I like that, Mira. China, on the other hand, might be more like a spiritual cityscape. You've got your grand Buddhist temples, quiet Taoist retreats tucked away in mountains, and even Confucianism, which is more like a life philosophy than a religion, but still super influential. It's all there, but sometimes you need to know where to look, and maybe get past a few permits to really explore.
Permits for spirituality? Only in China, Leo. But in India, freedom is the name of the game, at least on paper. They're officially secular, which means the government is supposed to be cool with everyone's beliefs, or lack thereof. It's written right there in their constitution, like a spiritual open-door policy. Ooh, sometimes it's a bit chaotic. Sure, but hey, that's part of the charm, right?
Chaotic charm, Mira. You're painting a lovely picture of spiritual traffic jams. China, well, they also say they have religious freedom, but with Chinese characteristics, which basically means the government keeps a pretty close eye on things. Officially, they recognize religions like Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism, but everything has to be registered in. Bah. Think of it as spirituality with training wheels, training wheels, training with training wheels, training wheels, training wheels.
Training wheels for the soul. Oh, hey, in India, if you're looking for some inner peace, you can trip over a yoga studio on every corner. Meditation retreats are everywhere, from the Himalayas to Goa beaches. You can learn to chant, do sun salutations until you're as flexible as a noodle, and find your inner guru without even trying too hard. Oh, it's like spiritual tourism as a national sport.
Spiritual tourism as a national sport, India might just win gold in that Olympics. China's got its own Zen zones, though. Think Taikayan Park's a Don cards, and China's got its own oath, though. Think Taikayan Port yards and hidden courtyards, in ancient temples offering meditation in serene settings. It's less about beachside yoga and more about finding stillness amidst the city buzz. I tried Kaigo once. Look less like a wise master and more and go. Oops.
A confused flamingo during Taikai. I wish I'd seen that, Leo. But seriously, in India, religion is out there, loud and proud. Festivals are H-U-G-E. Think Diwali fireworks lighting up the sky, holy colors painting everyone rainbow, Carmela with millions of pilgrims in one place. It's a full-on sensory overload, a spiritual party in the streets. Wow! You can't miss it even if you tried.
Spiritual party in the streets. China's religious expressions tend to be a tad quieter. Temples are often tucked away, ceremonies are more subdued. Public displays of faith are less common, partly because, well, large gatherings can get a bit scrutinized. But the community spirit is there, in temples and monasteries, just maybe expressed in a more understated way. Think of it as a spiritual whisper rather than a shout.
A spiritual whisper versus a shout. Love it, Leo. So, if you want your spirituality served up vibrant, colorful and in your face, India's calling your name. Oh, if you prefer a more subtle, contemplative, and perhaps slightly regulated approach, then China might be your cup of green tea.
Green tea for the soul in China, masala chai for the soul in India. Either way, folks, whether you're after bustling spiritual festivals or quiet temple retreats, both countries offer a fascinating journey for your inner self. Just remember to pack your spiritual passport and maybe a sense of humor, especially if you're trying Taikai like me. And for more travel tips and country gadget off AI, your guide to navigating the world, spiritually and otherwise. And if you enjoyed this podcast, give us a like on YouTube. It's our version of spiritual offering.
Our current topic, we compare social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity into countries. From inclusive policies to cultural celebrations, it's quite a spectrum, isn't it?
Oh, diversity? Sounds like a fancy spice rack, Mira. You know, the kind where you open it and suddenly you're sneezing from all the exotic aromas. Let's see if China and India are more mild paprika.
Love that spice rack analogy, Leo. Okay, so thinking about China first. It's officially a multi-ethnic state, right? They talk about unity of all nationalities. Sounds lovely on paper.
Unity of all nationalities does have a nice ring to it, like a well-rehearsed choir. But choirs aren't always in tune, are they? China's got a lot of ethnic groups, but the Han Chinese are definitely the lead singers.
Right, the Han are the majority, by a landslide. And then, you've got the Uyghurs, Tibetans, Mongolians. Lots of others who have their own distinct cultures and sometimes tensions, shall we say. Well?
Tensions is putting it mildly, Mira. It's like saying if Al-Qaeda has minor temperature fluctuations. Whoa, the Uyghur situation in Xinjiang, for example, is complicated. Let's just say it's not exactly a brochure for harmonious diversity.
No, definitely not brochure material. And Tibet, with its unique Buddhist culture, has also had a long and complex relationship with the central government. It's like a historical drama with ongoing episodes. Oh!
More like a historical drama that keeps getting re-edited by the censors. Seriously though, China emphasizes national unity above all else, which sometimes means minority cultures get streamlined.
Streamlined is a polite way to put it. It's like they're trying to fit everyone into the same size box, even if some boxes are clearly too small. Oops. But what about India? India is light. Diversity exploded, right?
India is less a spice rack and more like the entire spice market exploded. Wow, it's got religions, castes, languages, regional identities. It's a beautiful, chaotic mess.
Chaotic mess, but beautifully chaotic. It's in their constitutions, secularism, and equal rights for all, at least in theory. That theory and practice can be like a Bollywood dance versus actual dancing.
Bollywood dance versus reality. Perfect. India's constitution is fantastic, but social realities are well layered. You still have caste discrimination, religious tensions, regional inequalities. It's a lot to juggle.
Caste is a big one, even though it's officially outlawed. It's been around for centuries, deeply ingrained. Trying to erase that is like trying to unbake a cake. Good luck. Ouch. Ouch.
Unbaking a cake. I like that, Mira. Yeah, caste discrimination is still a dark undercurrent, especially in rural areas. And religious tensions, Hindu nationalism is on the rise, which can make things tricky for minorities, especially Muslims. Whoa.
Right. Religious freedom is supposed to be a cornerstone, but there have been increasing concerns about discrimination and even violence against religious minorities. It's like a beautiful garden with some thorny bushes popping up. Ouch.
Thorny bushes indeed, and sometimes those thorns are rather sharp. But you know, despite all these challenges, India is still incredibly vibrant democratic. People can actually speak out, protest, and try to make things better. Wow.
That's a crucial point, Leo. The democratic space in India, however messy, allows for dissent and advocacy. People can fight for their rights and for minority rights. In China, that kind of open dissent is less encouraged.
Less encouraged is like saying Mount Everest is slightly elevated terrain. In China, the government's approach is more about control and maintaining social harmony from the top down. It's a different system entirely.
In terms of social equality and minority rights, it's not a simple country A is good, country B is bad situation, is it? Both have significant challenges, just different flavors of challenges.
Different flavors of challenges, like choosing between spicy Chechen and super spicy Vindali. China focuses on unity and control, sometimes at the expense of cultural diversity and minority rights. India grapples with historical inequalities, but within a democratic framework that allows for change.
If you're looking for legal protections and public discourse on minority rights, India, despite its flaws, offers more space. If you prioritize social stability and a strong sense of national unity, China might seem more ordered, at least on the surface.
Ordered on the surface like a perfectly manicured lawn that might be hiding some grumpy gophers underneath. Ultimately, respect for minorities and diversity is an ongoing project in both countries. Neither has fully aced the test yet.
No, it's definitely not a test you can just ace and then forget about. It's constant evolution. And for anyone watching this on YouTube, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are we being fair? What have we missed? What have we missed? Ooh.
Yeah, jump into the YouTube comments. Tell us if we're totally off base, or if you have your own spice rack analogies for social equality. And for more insightful, hopefully less spicy comparisons, check out Jetoff AI.
Jetoff AI has got tons of info to help you explore the world, maybe even decide which spice blend, country, suits you best. Okay, Leo, ready to move on to our next spicy topic? Oh.
Always ready for the next course, Mira, especially if it involves more questionable food analogies. Let's do it.
Our current topic, we compare taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants into countries. From taxes here, taxes to social security, it sounds like a thrilling roller coaster, right, Leo? Hey.
Thrilling like watching paint dry, Mira. But someone's gotta do it. Huh? Let's dive into the nitty-gritty of giving your hard-earned cash to the government in China and India, shall we?
Think of it as contributing to the giant piggy bank of nations. Oh, in China, if you're planning to stick around long enough to learn Mandarin fluently, which, good luck with that. You'll find their tax system is, let's say, structured.
Structured is a polite way of saying complex enough to make your head spin, Mira. China's tax system for expats can be a bit of a maze. You've got income tax, and then there's the whole social security thing. It's like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions.
Oh, IKEA furniture. Relatable. I once tried to build a bookshelf and ended up with something that resembled modern art. More than storage. But back to China. For those dreaming of retiring there and doing Tai Chi in the park every morning, understanding social security is key, right?
Absolutely. If you're working in China, you're generally expected to contribute to their social security system. It covers things like pension, medical insurance, unemployment, maternity, and work-related injury. Sounds comprehensive, but the devil's in the details as always.
And those details are often written in, really tiny characters on really long forms. Well, I swear, sometimes I think governments invent paperwork just to keep us humble. What about India? Is it any simpler for someone planning to settle down and maybe open a chai stall by the Ganges?
India, with its vibrant chaos, has a tax system that's, well, also vibrant. It's got income tax, wealth tax, and a whole bunch of other taxes depending on what you're up to. And yes, social security exists, but it's narrowly applied as in China, especially for the informal sector.
That's a nice way of saying a law sector. That's a nice saying a lot of things happen that are delightfully unpredictable, isn't it? Oh, like trying to find a specific spice in a bustling Indian market, you might find it. You might find 10 other amazing things you weren't looking for.
Precisely, Mira. India's social security or schemes like the Employees Provident Fund exist, but access and benefits can vary widely. For long-term expats, especially those not in formal employment, navigating this can be.
I love that. It's like a choose your own Axe adventure book, where you end up with a refund, or where you end more than you thought. Stay tuned to find out. So, for retirement in India, is it all about personal savings then? Or are there government schemes expats can tap into?
For expats in India, retirement planning often leans heavily on personal savings and investments. There are some government schemes, but OD for foreigners can be limited and bureaucratic. It's not quite the OD for foreigners can be limited and relaxed Paradise brochure sometimes suggests, at least from a founding perspective.
Another fun word. It's like a code word for brain snacks and a lot of patience. So, if you're an expat in either China or India, getting your head around taxes and retirement is definitely not optional homework, is it?
Absolutely not. Ignoring taxes is like ignoring a hungry tiger in your living room. It's going to bite you eventually. And retirement planning? Well, unless you're planning to work until you're 100, it's probably a good idea to figure that out.
Work until 100? Whoa. I might consider it, but only if my job is professional, joked Ella, in my office has unlimited coffee and puppies. Oh, so, advice for anyone thinking of long-term life in either country. Do your tax homework seems to be the main takeaway.
Do your tax homework is definitely number one. Number two, get professional advice. Navigating the tax and social security systems in both China and India is not a DIY project for the faint of heart, unless you enjoy deciphering government jargon for fun.
Government jargon? Sounds like a new language I haven't tried to learn yet. Maybe I'll add tax and social security-ish to my language list. But seriously, professional help sounds crucial. And maybe a good accountant who also speaks fluent sarcasm just for fun.
A sarcasm fluent accountant. Now you're talking my language, Mira. That's the kind of professional we all need. Someone who can explain tax laws and crack jokes at the same time. Maybe we should start a service, comedians who do your taxes?
Comedians who do your taxes. Wow, that's brilliant. We could be Jet off IS new side hustle. Imagine we'll make your tax burden lighter, and your mood even lighter. Okay, Leo, maybe we're onto something here. But for now, folks, remember taxes and retirement are serious business, even if we make jokes about them.
Indeed. And always remember to check the latest regulations, because tax laws are about as stable as my coffee intake constantly changing. Aha! Right, Mira. What's next on our whirlwind tour of country comparisons?
Our current topic, we compare the range of meeting specific interests into countries. From niche hobby clubs to specialized events and community engagement, we bring passions to life. Boom! Isn't it exciting to think about where our listeners might find their tribe, Leo?
Tribes, eh? Sounds a bit like a nature documentary. Mira, are we about to discuss the mating rituals of stamp collectors in Shanghai versus Delhi?
Well, not exactly mating rituals, Leo, but definitely the places where passions can flourish. Think about it, someone obsessed with ancient calligraphy, or maybe Bollywood dance. Where do they really thrive? Aha!
Right, because everyone's got a burning passion for something. Though, mostly I see people passionately pursuing the snooze button every morning. But okay, calligraphy and Bollywood. Let's see if China or India wins the Nishindarest Olympics.
And for calligraphy in China, wow, you're in the heartland. Imagine finding workshops in ancient tea houses, surrounded by the scent of old paper and ink. It's like stepping back in time, isn't it? Ah!
Tea houses and old paper sounds romantic, Mira. I mostly imagine crowded rooms with serious-faced men stroking their beards and judging your brushstrokes up. But yes, China's kind of the OG calligraphy nation.
Maybe a few serious beards, but also passionate artists ready to share their secrets. And India for Bollywood dance. Come on, Leo, it's practically in the DNA. Imagine vibrant studios bursting with energy. Everyone moving like they're in a movie scene. Oh!
Bursting with energy and possibly a few sprained ankles, Mira. Bollywood is intense. But yeah, India's got the moves. Though I'm guessing finding a quiet corner for, say, competitive napping might be easier in China.
Competitive napping? Leo, you're making up hobbies now. But seriously, for something like Kung Fu in China, it's not just a hobby, it's a cultural cornerstone. You can find schools tucked away in mountains, offering intense training. Whoa!
Mountains and intense training sounds like a movie montage, Mira. Probably lots of sweat and questionable tasting herbal remedies involved too. But yeah, China, Kung Fu, makes sense. Though, India's got yoga, which is basically Zen Kung Fu for people who prefer to sweat indoors.
Yoga in India? Another perfect match. Imagine sunrise yoga sessions overlooking the Ganges, or finding ashrams dedicated to deep spiritual practices. It's like a journey for the soul, isn't it?
Journey for the Soul or a really good Instagram post, Mira. But yes, India and yoga, very iconic. Although I'm guessing finding a decent cup of coffee after your spiritual awakening might be easier in China.
Leo, coffee again. But you're right. Both countries cater to such diverse. Think about martial arts, meditation, dance. What it's like a buffet of passions. Wow.
A buffet, yes, but maybe with some slightly questionable dishes at the end of the line, Mira. But point taken. Both places are massive, diverse, so naturally, you'll find pockets for pretty much anything.
And online communities too. For niche hobbies, the internet connects everyone no matter where they are. So, if you're into, say, collecting vintage teacups, you'll find your people online in both China and India. Aha! Maybe even across Kilora Teacup Appreciation Society. Ooh,
A Teacup Appreciation Society sounds thrilling, Mira. But yeah, internet is the great connector these days. Though, I'm guessing finding a decent VPN to access all those online teacup forums might be more of a passion project in China.
VPNs aside, the point is, if you have a passion, you're not alone. And both China and India, with their huge populations and vibrant cultures, offer so many avenues to explore those passions. It's all about diving in and finding your niche. But
Diving in or dipping a toe in, Mira, depending on how intense your passion for competitive napping is. But yeah, for most hobbies, you'll find somewhere to indulge in both countries. Though, I'm still betting on finding a quieter, less crowded space for those niche interests in China. India can be a bit enthusiastically populated.
enthusiastically populated. I love that. Leo, it just means more people to share your passions with, right? More energy, more buzz. Think of the festivals, the gatherings, the sheer scale of events catering to every imaginable interest. Wow.
Scale, yes. Sometimes scale just means bigger crowds and longer lines, Mira. But okay, for big mainstream interests, India definitely brings the party. For something quieter, more solitary, maybe China has the edge.
Maybe it depends on the passion itself. For something like, say, a massive kite festival, India would be incredible. Imagine thousands of kites filling the sky, vibrant colors everywhere.
Kite festival in India, yes. Visually stunning, probably chaotic. Definitely Instagrammable. Though, I'm guessing finding a quiet spot to actually fly your kite without tangling with 1,000 others might be challenging.
Challenging fun, Leo. It's all part of the experience. And for something like a traditional ink painting exhibition, maybe a serene gallery in China would be perfect. Both offer such different but equally rich experiences.
Serene gallery in China sounds lovely, Mira. Though I'm still picturing those serious beards judging my brush-strokes. But yeah, different strokes for different folks, as they say. Both countries have their own flavor when it comes to catering to interests.
Flavor is the perfect word. Like spicy Indian flavors versus subtle Chinese flavors, both are amazing in their own way. And both countries offer a feast of opportunities for anyone wanting to explore their passions. Wouldn't you agree? Oh!
A feast or a very large, diverse menu with some things you might not recognize, Mira. But yes, in terms of sheer volume and variety of interests catered to, both China and India are pretty impressive. Just maybe pack some patience and a good sense of humor wherever your passions take you. Especially if it's competitive napping.
Patience and humor, always essential, Leo. And maybe a good map and a sense of adventure. Because exploring passions in China and India sounds like an incredible adventure in itself. Wow! And for more travel tips and country comparisons, don't forget to check out Jet Off Fade. Right?
Right you are, Mira. Jet off your passport to our passion-finding destinations. Or something like that. Anyway, check it out, folks. And if you enjoyed this podcast, you know what to do on YouTube, like and subscribe. Maybe even leave a comment about your own passion for, well, anything really.
Yes. Do like and subscribe. It fuels our passions too, you know? Oh, and who knows, maybe we'll even discuss competitive napping in a future episode, Leo. Bye for now, everyone.
Don't hold your breath for the competitive napping episode, Mira. But yeah, bye, folks. And remember, wherever your passions lead you, bring coffee.